Okay, everybody, welcome once again to Conspiracy or Not. For your listening displeasure, I am your host, Aaron, and we have a new co-host I would like to happily announce. Gandalf the White is joining us with the lovely Amy, as always. Hello, fellas. Hello, Amy. Hello, Gandalf.
Howdy.
So, yeah, we got a new co-host. Gandalf will be joining us on the regular, so we're happy about that. What's up with you, Gandalf?
Oh, nothing much, man. I've been all into the whole Q thing for the past 2-3 weeks now.
Into it in what way?
Well, trying to get to the bottom of it, the channels that are pushing it, and, you know, it goes to BP Earthwatch, SGT report, and I was going to do a couple videos on this new video that just came out, I think it was like 2-3 days ago, about how Q, I think it's like called Q, yeah. Oh, you showed me the video.
Yeah, the SGT report. You watched that last night.
Yeah, and it only came out like 2-3 days ago, and I'm gonna make a whole bunch of videos on this, how this video is pushing for massive arrests by the army of different officials.
Yeah, Sean over at SGT report, that video, for those who don't know, I damn near fell out of my chair. I couldn't freaking believe what I was watching over there. Hang on just a second. Laz is in the chat. He says he sees like he won't be able to join. The link is not working. Laz, Amy is working on getting you a different link. By the way, Laz, are you getting the 404 error message when you try to join in?
I already gave him the other link that seems not to work.
And Laz, did you also check the link that I left you in the comment section?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
No, it doesn't work either.
You know, I'm curious, Laz, you were interviewed, who was it? Black Pigeon or the Black Child? Was it the Black Child that you were on not long, I don't know, a couple months ago, interviewed you? How did you get onto his live stream? I'm curious how that happened, because I heard that interview and I know that you've been working with your cell phone the whole time. Said it sent you to that Hangout website. Amy, maybe Amy, go ahead and drop the link in the live chat and then see if Laz can get in that way. We're not bogged down with trolls. I don't think anybody's going to come and try to infiltrate us. So if he can get in, then you can just delete it. If it doesn't work, you can delete it. But try it that way. But Laz, we're working on trying to get you in there. There's the link to the Hangout. Laz, give that a try. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just go ahead and delete that comment. But anyway, I'm really happy that Gandalf is with us. He's a good friend of ours. He's been literally hanging out with us for almost 2 years, almost since Ian and I started this little project of ours. And so I'm thrilled to have him. Gandalf's been around for a long time. He knows the ins and outs of the tooth movement, the twoof movement. And
the twoofers.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled to have him. And plus another Canadian, and I don't know what it is, man, but there's a lot of Canadians that are in this little community of ours.
That's always something I found was a little weird, man.
Me too.
It is kind of odd.
A remarkable number of Canadians.
Yep. Don't call them Canadians. They're Canucks.
I find it really strange. I've come across in our general truther bubble community, I've come across like 5 or 6 people just in my general area of Ontario, which is really weird.
What about that? You were with us when that Canadian guy, hey Blue, you were with us on the show when that weird creepy Canadian guy, we called him Private Jan. Remember that dude came in and was injecting. He like grabbed the screen. He was like a hacker. He like took over the executive or the administrative advantage or administrative privilege of the whole setup. And he was like screen sharing some frickin' S&M shit from the dark web. You remember that?
I remember watching that all over again. Like, I think you ended up taking out that one part or something like that.
Yes,
I did. It was tough, but I finally figured out how to get it taken out. YouTube actually has a slight editing portion where you can actually go in later on after you upload a video or after you upload a live stream. You can actually edit out portions. You can't inject anything. You can't put in anything, but you can cut pieces of it out. So at least there was that. I didn't have to delete the whole show because that was fucked up.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched that. I watched that maybe like 5 or 6 times, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I remember you guys were debating whether or not if it was somebody who had come in and like was screen sharing something. But if you watch that over again, it is in a place. So whatever was being broadcast onto your guys' Hangout was actually from someone's webcam. It wasn't something that was being screen shared.
That's what I thought.
Really?
Yes, I thought.
No way.
Because when I said something, I said something fairly loudly, and the guy that was all bound up went like he was responding to me several times.
Right. That's right. I remember you said something
several times.
You noticed that he was like reacting to you, and that was weird. Hi, Pam.
Yep.
Broadswords with us. We got 20 people right now, almost a full house. We're doing well. We're doing well. Okay, you guys, I got a couple of headlines I'm going to throw at you real quick, and then I've got a couple of news stories we're going to destroy, and then we'll get on to the main topic of free will and morality. And I know what Amy's going to say right off the bat. She doesn't like morality. She wants to talk about ethics. And so maybe what I'll do is I'll pull up the dictionary, and we'll cover the definition, this dictionary definition of those two words, just so that we can have our definition straight. Let me see. Laz said he's uploading video now of what happens when I click the link. Oh, okay. He's trying to figure out how to get around the problem. Okay. Johnny's with us. Hey, Johnny. Johnny. Okay, you guys. Disney buys Fox. The Justice Department has just approved the Disney purchase of the Fox News network. And I remember hearing not long ago, very, very recently, because this has been in the works, I think, for a year or so, AT&T bought Time Warner, and they've been in and out of court with the Justice Department over that. There was an issue where they wanted AT&T to sell off the CNN portion of the Time Warner network. Time Warner owns TNT, the whole Turner network system, the Turner Cartoon, the Turner News Network, Turner Classics, and also CNN. And also AT&T currently owns DirecTV. So if you're one of those people who has, I don't know, if you see the commercials where they compete with each other, that's bullshit because AT&T owns them both. So the consolidation of our media continues. And of course, you and me and everyone listening is opposed to the consolidation of our media because, less choices, less freedom. However, I have to play a slight devil's advocate here from a business standpoint. Some of the articles I was reading about the AT&T and the Time Warner deal, there was talking about how they're trying to compete with Google. And it seems that Google is fucking running the world right now. And from a business standpoint, it makes sense that these guys are doing what they can. AT&T, since they have all these other networks, they just bought Time Warner, and they own CNN and all the other shit that comes with Time Warner. And Disney, as big as they are, has just bought Fox News, the whole Rupert Murdoch network. So I can only imagine in the years to come, we're going to see Google buying AT&T, or Google's going to buy Disney or some shit like that. You watch. Mark my words, man. Mark my words.
Yep.
In about 5 years, we're going to see another consolidation bundle package happening. And it's probably going to be Google buying up these huge conglomerates already in place.
And the thing that I suspect is that they're already owned by the same people. They're just, you know, making it look like it's just business as usual, trying to wrangle the best spot.
Well,
but eventually it'll all be lumped into the same package, you know?
Well, I mean, when you say the same people, it's the same group of people. Some of them are intermarried.
Yes.
Most of them grew up and went to the same schools. They all belong to the same fucking boys club, the Freemasons or whatever secret society, the Rosicrucians, they're Jesuits. I don't know what they are, but they're all fucking connected. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, in one sense, they are the same people. And the ultimate plan is to, you know, drive us like cattle into an actual 1984 scenario where we have a single ministry of truth and that will be one source of all information. And that's exactly where we're headed. Matt Simon, how you doing, bro? Okay, so we are waiting for Laz to get in here. He's having trouble with the link. He's working on figuring out how to get around his troubles. He's downloading some videos to help him with that. And while we're waiting for Laz, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. And Gandalf, you feel free to just jump in if you have anything to add, and I'll shut up anytime. You have to be real assertive with me because I'll just ramble on.
Okay, well, I was letting you go on there for a minute because I'm trying to get a hold of this video. When you were mentioning AT&T, I remember seeing something just maybe a day ago about how there's actually AT&T actually has a bunker in eastern Kentucky. It's like a dumb but deep underground military base, but it's owned by AT&T. I'm trying to find this. When you started mentioning AT&T, I was like, oh my god.
Well, I'm playing Oprah Winfrey with the wrenches today. I've just given out 3 or 4. I just gave another one to Doug. Doug, you get a wrench, which means that if you need to drop a link, if you want to drop a link in the live chat, you can now. You have a wrench, which makes you a moderator, and which means that if anybody shows up and wants to disrupt or be an asshole, you now have the ability to eject a troll. So use your powers wisely, my friends. And like I said, the wrench also gives you the ability to drop a link in case you guys get into a conversation or you want to share something in that way. You can do that. So awesome. I'm like Oprah Winfrey. You get a wrench. You get a wrench. You get a wrench. So everybody gets a wrench. And also, I've learned through our friend Jerry Cthulhu that filling your chat room with wrenches keeps the trolls away. They don't stand a chance when you got a room full of wrenches. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, so this is unconfirmed. I heard this through Nancy told me this one through her Twitter feed, one of her Twitter friends or Facebook friends or something. This Anthony Kennedy, the Supreme Court justice that's retiring, his son is an ex-Goldman Sachs and ex-Deutsche Bank employee who is working with Trump and is pals with Trump Jr. I also understand that there's some kind of rule that, let me see, there's some kind of rule, a legal rule about having to do with an election year. And right now we're in a midterm election year. So I forget exactly what that rule was, and anybody in the chat who knows what I'm talking about can help me out. And I don't know much about it. And again, what I just mentioned is completely unconfirmed. I just wanted to throw it out there in case somebody knows something about it. But apparently, I'm going to move on. Yesterday, you guys, I'm sure you guys heard Maryland. You guys heard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maryland.
Have you guys had a chance to look into it much?
Not at all, man. I have hardly looked into any of the shootings for a while now, probably a year.
I looked into it briefly, but probably not as much as I should have. Why
Well,
don't you knock our socks off, Aaron?
I'm not really going to knock your socks off because, to be honest, this one is really low rent. This is a really low rent operation.
Option.
Um,
Okay.
and if anybody is curious, I would recommend going over to Anthony 2B number 11 channel. He breaks down an Anderson Cooper interview with these two characters that were supposedly in the building. They're reporters or editors or whatever. And I didn't write their names down, but Anthony's hilarious. And he goes through this interview with Anderson Cooper on the phone with these two characters. And a couple of things that stuck out with me was, let me see. He interviews this guy and this girl. The guy says he saw the front door glass break. Well, he didn't actually. He said he heard the noise and he turned around and he saw the glass shatter. He didn't. He says he didn't actually see the guy shoot the door. He says he didn't actually see the guy. Apparently, he just immediately ducked under his desk after that. This interview is pretty revealing. Like 2 or 3 times during the interview, the guy is telling his account of what happened, his firsthand account. 2 or 3 times he says to Anderson, he says, you correct me if I'm wrong, blah, 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 blah. And Anthony just cracks up and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You were there. Why are you asking Anthony? Why are you asking?
Because he wants his handler to know that he should be corrected if he's not saying it right.
Apparently, from what I hear, the cops were there within 60 seconds. If you can believe that one.
No.
Whenever you really need a cop, it takes a half an hour.
Yeah, I mean, the shortest time I've ever seen a cop show up was 5 minutes, and that was only because they were right down the street.
Well, you remember
took 5 minutes.
You remember my mailbox incident? We covered that with Mark.
Yep.
This girl runs into my mailbox, and she's a young girl. She's freaking out, and all I really wanted was her insurance information. And she's being real wishy-washy, won't give me any information. I said, okay, we'll call the cops. And she says, okay, no. And then she goes, no, wait, no, that's all right. I'll call them. And then she goes, wait, can we just wait? And I'm like, no. So what does she want? She wants to call her mom or text her mom first. And then she calls her friend, this guy, this 17-year-old kid, calls her friend, calls this kid. And she's like, can you get here quick, blah, blah, blah. And a few minutes later, this fucking kid shows up, gets in my face, and him and I nearly get into a fist fight. Luckily, my neighbor was there, and I was recording the whole thing. And she was using my phone to record me confront this kid. And me and this kid really, really start going at it verbally, almost physically. And so my neighbor uses her cell phone to call 911 to call the cops. While she's on the phone with the cops, me and this kid are yelling and screaming at each other. And apparently the dispatcher could hear the commotion in the background. And I'm just going to be honest, the cops only took maybe 5 minutes or less to get there. Okay. So, I mean, they could tell that there was a disturbance, a domestic disturbance, and they were there pretty quick. Certainly wasn't 60 seconds, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. An incident, let's just do the logistics real quick. Let's say something happens. Boom. Start the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Okay, what's going on? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, holy shit. We're a shooter. Holy fuck. Call 911. Where's my phone? Blah, blah, blah. Get the phone. Pick it up. Turn it on. Swipe the screen. Pull up your phone. Click dial. Okay, 911. Call. Okay, ring, ring, ring. 911 dispatcher. Yeah, this is so-and-so. I'm at so-and-so address. We got an active shooter, blah, 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 blah. Okay, blah. They're on their way. And then they stay on the phone, but then the dispatcher will, radio the closest cop. And then the closest cop's got to stop what he's doing and get there. Okay. This doesn't happen in 60 seconds. I'm just not buying it.
No.
Even if the cop was across the street, the logistics takes longer than that.
Yes. I agree. 60 seconds is superhuman.
Hey, Zoltaire, welcome. Yeah, 60 seconds is fucking little bit hard to swallow.
Well, I think when it comes to these things, it all depends on how much media coverage it gets.
Johnny said the intern sent out tweets instead of 911.
That's the way to get them there in 60 seconds, I'm sure.
So wait, Johnny, you're telling me there was no 911 call? And by the way, who does that? I mean, who thinks to get on Twitter to call the cops? I mean, that's weird.
I agree. You don't say, oh my God, I need a cop. Here, where's Twitter? No, that just isn't what happens. It's like, give me your goddamn phone. I got to call the police.
So during this interview, Anderson Cooper is interviewing these one man and woman. And the whole thing, the guy says that the whole thing was over in 2 to 3 minutes. The whole thing, start to finish, was over and done in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. 2 to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. 2 to 3 times. He asked Anderson to correct him if he's wrong. Okay, the girl, she said that she watched someone die. She said she was under her desk, hiding with the intern, Anthony. She said at one point during the interview, she said she grabbed her purse and they ran toward the back and tried for the back door, but it was locked, which I thought was really weird because
usually it's locked on the outside, but you can get through on the inside.
Thank you.
That's crazy.
Now, look, I'm a contractor. I'm a residential and commercial contractor. I've never, to my best of my knowledge, I've never seen a residential door, exterior door, that had a padlock that required a key. Now, on occasion, you can get a padlock for your home that requires a key rather than, a latch that you can just turn with your hand from the inside, where you need a key from the inside to unlock the padlock. You can get those, but if I'm not mistaken, that might be illegal for commercial property. Particularly, I think it's a fire code.
Yep.
Because you need to be able to get the fuck out if you have to. I think that's fucking bullshit. For commercial property, there's no way that she's going to run to the back door and find that it's locked and she can't get out. That just seems
I agree.
Unbelievable.
I agree. That don't happen.
Johnny said, she said the door was jammed. I swear I remember she said it was locked, but okay, I could be wrong. Okay, so she tried for the back door. It was locked or jammed. Then she said, she mentioned other shootings because she's a reporter. She said she covered the Pulse nightclub and she covered some school shootings. She said,
I'm done laughing now.
She said she thought it was weird that people in those situations were like tweeting their loved ones, sending out text messages and tweets. And then she said, well, at one point I was under the desk and I was tweeting my parents or texting my parents.
Yeah, that's what everybody does when they're in a dire situation. Here, let me text somebody.
So let me get this straight, because I'm a logistics man, okay? I go through all the steps and all the process. In 2 to 3 minutes from start to finish, bang, gunshot, breaks the front door glass. Now everybody's in a what the fuck moment, right? And it takes a few seconds to process what's happening. The guy breaks the door, he comes in, he starts shooting. Okay, now you go from what the fuck to holy shit, someone's shooting. And then you go from that to hide under the desk. And then you go, and then, the guy's going around the office. You're hiding for your life. The guy's running around. At one point, the woman said she heard him walk past and then reload. So I don't know how much time that takes. It doesn't really take very much time to empty a shotgun and then apparently reload. Doesn't take too much time. You could empty a shotgun in probably 30 seconds. But But that's if you're firing quick. Bang, click, bang, click, bang, chick, chick, bang, chick, chick, bang. You could probably empty a shotgun. Okay. And then she grabs her purse. She goes to the back door. And I don't know at what point, but some point she's under the desk texting her parents. All of this in 2 to 3 minutes. So I just find that whole fucking story
that's
pretty tough to swallow.
Totally unbelievable. Totally.
I'm going to get a drink of water. You guys chat. What do you think about that? I'll be right back.
Well, I think it's another phony fake show. It sounds like they've got some serious issues in this particular piece. And apparently Johnny said that he said that the door was jammed. So maybe she said it was locked and he kind of corrected her saying it was jammed. I don't know. I didn't watch the piece in question. So am I by myself here, Gandalf, or are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay.
Well, honestly, I haven't gotten into any of these shootings in the longest time. I think the last time I ever looked into anything related to this was the Orlando thing that happened.
Oh, yeah. That piece of tripe.
Yeah, I basically came to the conclusion that if they are going to pull off these types of things, they've basically been at this for hundreds of years. Like, look at any of the big wars that have ever occurred in the United States' history. They've all been started using false flag operations.
Yep.
Johnny said the intern said that on the Today Show he thought it was firecrackers. Don't they all say that?
They always say that. They always say that.
Mad Pie Man. Hi, Mom. I'm stuck under a desk. Someone's shooting. Talk later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. It's just, I'm sorry. That's all I have on that story. I mean, I'm not going deep into that one, and I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. At this point, it's a hoax until proven real.
Yep. Well, I think that's the way we should approach every single one of these stories, right?
Hello, Richard Burke. Welcome. Yes, Amy, I agree. So, Malibu, California. Have you guys heard about what happened out there?
No, you were mentioning something about that, though.
Yeah. Okay. I got some screen shares. You guys are not going to believe this fucking shit. This is a pile of horse shit, but maybe the guy is really dead, and he probably is. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. You guys remember not long ago the Naga lace? You know, the cancer doctors and scientists, chemists were getting knocked off left and right.
Yes.
Doctors were getting mysterious deaths of all these doctors. Okay, chemists and shit. Okay, because that shit does happen. You know, when a chemist or a doctor and discovers something, it's not uncommon for these guys to get bumped off. All right, so here's what happened out of Malibu, California. Now this happened. Oh, by the way, interesting. Remember last week it was our show. The very beginning of the show, I said that it was June 22nd, which was a 6/22, and I said I told everybody to stay on their toes. Something might happen that day, right? Zoltar, the Magnificent, welcome. You guys remember I said that? It was 6/22?
Yep.
Well, apparently something did happen. Malibu, California, a father was shot and killed while tent camping. He's 35 years old. His name is Tristan Beaudet. Now, before I go any further, that name Beaudet, does that ring a bell with you?
Not really. Perhaps you can...
Motel 6. I'm Tom Beaudet. We'll leave the light on for you.
Oh, I guess because I don't watch TV, I don't see commercials, so I don't. I think I might have heard that in the background somewhere, but
it's
I
an
wouldn't.
age-old commercial. That commercial has been around for a million years. So I don't know if this guy is related, but if he is related, he's from a wealthy family. But nevertheless, he's a PhD chemist and he worked for a pharmaceutical company. and he was shot while tent camping. He was shot in his tent while he was sleeping at just before 5 a.m. in the morning. He was shot and killed in his tent while camping in Malibu, California, State Park. So, the first report was that he was shot in the torso. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share because I'm going to look at this article real quick. There may be a couple of articles I will look at real quick. And then I've got some snapshots, some screenshots I want to share with you guys. Malibu, California. Here it is. You got me? Hang on. Give it a second. Can you hear me? Am I there?
Yeah, I see it, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was muted.
Okay.
and
Well, sometimes my
talking.
microphone cuts off. So, I just want to make sure I didn't lose my audio. Okay. So, Malibu, California here is... Oh, fuck. All right, there it is. Come on. I want it full screen, not close. Okay. Here we go. Deadly Malibu shooting. Family's tent investigated as a murder. Now, I've looked at like all of these from as early as I could get to late as I could get. And the reason I wasn't even going to look into this, but it came, my cable TV was on the other day, and I heard out of the corner of my ear, it was like a follow-up story. And you're not going to believe this. They said that they changed the story from initial report was that he was shot in the torso, and now they're saying he was shot in the head.
Well, the head, the torso, they look kind of the same. I can see how they could get those confused. All right, maybe not.
Okay, so when I heard that, I almost, swallowed my whatever, choked on my coffee or something. I was like, you can't fuck that up that bad.
Seriously.
Nobody fucks up that bad. Was he shot in the chest? Was he shot in the fucking head? Right?
Yes.
I don't care if you're a first day rookie. If you're a rookie cop and it's your first day on the job, and you're the first guy to go in the tent, and you happen to be the first guy to speak to the press. Okay. Where was he shot? The foot? No. Wait. No, it was his hand. No. He was shot in the left buttock. Nope. Torso. Yep, it was the torso. Nope, sorry, it was the head. Yep. It was the head.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Crazy.
So let me see. I'm just going to grab, what I want to do is I want to grab, let me see if the Huffington Post, because they have an update, if they haven't changed it again, because I looked at this yesterday, and as of yesterday, they had an update, and they state in this one article both statements. Update June 27th, Tristan Baudot was killed. Come on, I don't want the video. No, go away. Killed by a gunshot to the head, said spokesman.
Murder investigation, and right now,
said spokesperson for the Los Angeles County coroner. A suspect has not yet been identified. Los Angeles Times reported that at least 5 other shootings have occurred over the past 2 years in the area where the 35-year-old father was killed. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said it's continuing its investigation into Baudet's death, and it's looking at earlier incidents to find possible links. The campground at Malibu Creek State Park, where Baudet was found dead, and by the way, he wasn't found dead. Later on, they say he was bleeding and then died at the scene, so he wasn't found dead. So found dead on June 22nd, okay? That was last Friday when we were doing our show.
Yep.
Remains closed indefinitely. Now here's the earlier That was the update. Here's the earlier. California police are investigating the mysterious death of a 35-year-old man shot while camping with his 2 young daughters in Malibu Creek State Park. Lieutenant Riley Moore of the LA Sheriff's Department said the victim, Tristan Beaudet of Irvine, California, was shot at least once in the upper torso in the early hours of Friday morning. So right there in the first, the tiny update says he's shot in the head. And right here in the first 2 sentences of the original report, torso and head. Moore told Los Angeles Times that Beaudet may have been shot while he was inside a tent with his 2 daughters, ages 2 and 4. What do you mean may have been?
Yeah, either he was or he wasn't.
You can tell by the blood splatter come on. Quote, the theory we're working with is he was shot inside the tent, officer said. Quote, the children were inside the tent too. Really? That's interesting. I'll come back to that in a second. Because I do find it interesting that, okay, you're sleeping in the tent and your 2 young daughters, by the way, ages 2 and 4. Your 2 young daughters are sleeping beside you. Somebody sneaks into your tent and shoots you in the fucking head. I'm pretty sure that's going to wake the children up. And of course, they're going to start crying and screaming.
High probability, yes.
And I'm pretty sure the shooter probably didn't take the time to zip the tent shut. And even if he did, a 4-year-old child could get out.
You think?
I find it curious that the children were in the tent because the cops claim that they found the kids in the tent with the man. I find that hard to believe. Moore said the case was being treated as a homicide at this point. Oh, well, okay. Since there was no gun in the fucking tent, unless you're telling me there was a gun in the tent, because if he shot himself in the head while sleeping with his 2 children, that's pretty cruel. That's not how if you're a father, you don't do shit like that. So anyway, it says the 2 children were not hurt. Irvine father of 2. This is a CBS LA tweet. Irvine father of 2 is identified as the man gunned down. It wasn't gunned down. He was killed. While camping in Malibu Creek, Tristan, 35, great chemist. Oh, now we know he's a chemist. But an even greater father, yada, yada. Beaudet has been remembered by his friends and family, devoted husband, yada, 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 yada. Brilliant chemist who worked with the pharmaceutical industry. I did some digging. I found out who he worked for. Is survived by his wife, Erica, and his 2 young girls. A GoFundMe page, here we go, was set up by Beaudet's family members. And other reports say it was set up by a friend. Expressed horror at the senselessness. Words cannot express absolute devastation, blah, blah, blah. Police told CBS Los Angeles Times Saturday that no leads, no suspect, and no motive. I have a motive. The guy was a fucking chemist for a pharmaceutical company. That's motive.
Yep.
Okay, so continuing on. Working to uncover evidence. As the homicide investigation continues, at least 60 campsites were shut down, temporarily closed to the public. The campgrounds are temporarily closed. And that's the end of that story. Now, let me go look at another article or 2, and then I will show you. Let me see. That was Huffington Post. This is 4 days ago, 2 days ago. Let's go with a newer one. Malibu Times. Let's check that one. They're all pretty similar, but they have slightly different details, as you guys know, looking into these things. Here, this one actually said in the headline, man killed. The subtitle, I think the subtitle, no, not this one. Some of the subtitles and some of the titles actually say that he was a chemist. Here, you're going to love the numbers here. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau is investigating the death of 35-year-old Tristan Beaudet, who was shot at Malibu Creek State Park Friday, June 27 at approximately 4:44 a.m.
Approximately. I'd never say approximately and then hit a digit that wasn't a 5 or a 0.
Or,
like
yeah, it was approximately
4:45.
Yeah,
or
approximately.
440, but I wouldn't go approximately 444. Yeah, that's
It was somewhere around 4:44 and 38 seconds. Right,
yeah,
right
there
around
you
there.
go.
Right
20,
around there.
23 seconds.
Okay. Now this one says Beaudet was shot in the head, according to case detail from the medical examiner. Apparently, the police just can't figure out where the guy was shot because everyone says that the reports of the headshot comes from the coroner. He had been camping in his tent with his two daughters, ages 2 and 4, at the park campground. Quote, also inside of the tent, I don't know if I mentioned he was located inside a tent. Also in his tent at the time of the incident were 2 children, both female, 2 and 4 years old. They were not injured, Rodney Moore said. And the medical examiner pronounced dead at the scene at 5:21 a.m. So, okay, so that's like 40, let me see, 21 and 16. So, 38, almost 40 minutes after the call came in, they arrived and found him in the tent because apparently, and I don't know if this article covers it, apparently somebody else called it in. Somebody called the cops and said they heard gunshots, and the cops responded that way. And since the children, assuming that I don't know if they were crying, I would assume that the kids were crying, right? So they would know which tent to go to.
You would think, yeah.
So when the cops got there, you hear a tent with 2 kids crying uncontrollably. They would probably gravitate to that tent, figure it out pretty quick, maybe. The girls were taken to the station for interviews. In the meantime, all in overnight camping, campground reservations, additional staff were on site. Closure. Here we go. Chemist from UC Berkeley. He was known for his skills as a chemist. On social media, the Ansile Lab at University of North Carolina shared Tristan was an exceptional father and chemist, one of the inventors of, and I haven't had a chance to look this one up. Anybody in the chat or Amy or somebody, do me a favor, look this up. You see that right there? I'll highlight it. So here's AC Dex. He was one of the inventors of AC Dex. You see that? Everybody see that? Capital A, lowercase c, dash, capital DEX. Whatever that is. He was one of the inventors of AC Dex. I haven't had a chance to figure out what that is. GoFundMe page for the Tristan Beaudet Memorial Fund was set up on behalf of Beaudet's wife, on behalf of his wife, Erica. It received an outpouring of comments and condolences from people around the country, raising more than 5 times more than the original $25,000 goal in just 2 days. More than 5 times. It turns out, as of yesterday evening, which would have been 6 days, because that was Thursday when I looked at this, when I read this. So it was like $129,000 as of yesterday evening. Now, this guy was a PhD chemist. Everyone says he was a brilliant chemist. He was an inventor of apparently this shit, AC Dex. And I don't know if this article goes into it, but
I have some information on this AC Dex. When I do a search for it, I get very little to go on. There's a Wikipedia page, oh how handy, for acetylated dextran, which is a biodegradable polymer based on dextrin that has acetyl modified hydroxyl groups. After synthesis, the hydrophilic polysaccharide dextrin is rendered insoluble in water, but soluble in organic solvents. This allows it to be processed in the same manner as many polyesters, like polylacticoglycol acid, through processes like solvent evaporation and emulsion. acetylated dextrin is structurally different from acetylated dextrin. Anyway,
Sounds like a nice pharmaceutical to me.
yeah. And yeah, other names: big A, small C dash capital DEX.
Okay,
And
go ahead. I'm not going to read any more of these articles. I'm just going to go with my notes, and because I've checked a dozen or more articles, and I've got some notes on this whole thing here. So the first report was shot in the torso, and then it's a shot in the head. Okay, so they said he was camping with a 2-year-old and 4-year-old daughters in a tent in California in the middle of summer. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, California in the middle of summer in a tent? That's a little bit warm for a 2- and 4-year-old. They're going to be really uncomfortable. So I used my phone weather app and I checked it out. Turns out it's really not. In Malibu, California, the temperature this week, yesterday, today, the day before, was highs were in the 71, lows were in the mid 60s. So that's actually good weather. So, okay. So the news reports go on to say the reason why his wife was not with them. She is also a PhD. She's a doctor, and she was studying for an exam. So they went camping so that she could study for an exam. And I thought, plausible, but okay.
yeah, that's stretching it a bit.
It's like, okay, honey, I need to study for an exam. You and the kids get the fuck out of here.
Yes. Oh, dear.
Okay. So then they followed up by talking to a guy. Oh, you're going to love this. Here we go. I'm going to get my screenshots that I grabbed here. They followed up the story because they were talking about there were other shootings recently in the last couple of years in the area. And they got this guy, and this is the shit that I was sharing with you on Skype yesterday, Amy. This guy's name is James Rogers. Oh, and by the way, I have to do this. I should have did this earlier, but okay. Just in case there's any snowflakes out there, what I'm going to show is not that bad, but warning, this video is graphic and may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're not liking nasty looking gunshot wounds or whatever, you might want to fuck off. So you've been warned. Trigger warning is in effect.
Warning.
Okay, so I got a screenshot from a video. This guy here, and I should probably pull up the video. It's very, very short. Can you see the scar on this guy's shoulder? Everybody get a good look at that? I'm going to go pull up this video. You have to hear from this guy's mouth. It's just not going to do justice if I tell you. It's so much. I'm going to go get the video, and you have to hear what this guy's got to say. So this is a guy that was, I think it was 2 years ago. He was sleeping in his hammock. Let's see if I can find it here. That's James Rogers. There it is. And if this doesn't pull it up, I can probably go into my history, my video history. No, because I had a hard time finding this guy because it came across my cable, and then I jumped on the computer and Google and YouTube and tried to find this report. It took me forever. Let me get in my history, see if I can. It was just yesterday, so it'll take me a second. In fact, it's in Skype. If I can't find it here, should have had this ready. Bear with me, everybody. Anyway, this guy was sleeping in his hammock, and he was shot in his arm. The report that came across my television said that it was a pellet gun. And then they showed the scar, and I went, what the fuck? And then later on, I found the actual video of him being interviewed, and it turned out that it was not a pellet gun, but pellets from a shotgun. Here it is. Check this out. A very short video here. Listen to this guy. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Let me know if you can hear this news report okay.
CBS News has learned at least 5 other shooting incidents happened in the park area within the last 2 years.
Can you hear that?
Carter Evans is at the sheriff's station in Calabasas near the state park.
Can you hear that okay?
Yes, yes.
Is increasing patrols around here and still asking for the public's help to track down this killer. Meanwhile, more people are coming forward with their own stories of how they were shot at while camping nearby. We spoke to one man who wonders if his case is connected. So where were you set up here?
So I was just down right here.
James Rogers was sound asleep at his campsite in November 2016 when a stinging pain jolted him awake at 3 a.m.
I tried to get up, just fell right through the hammock down to the ground.
So you had no idea what happened?
No idea.
It wasn't until pellets started falling out of his right arm that Rogers knew he'd been shot. These are shotgun pellets.
Yeah, it's bird-shot, so they're a little bit smaller. I think they're like 3mm diameter BBs, but it shoots 100 of them.
Rogers can't.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Yep.
This guy, James Rogers, by the way, he is a wildlife biologist. So what he said was that he was shot in his arm while he was sleeping in his hammock. And you saw that scar, right? Because I've got some screenshots to show you y'all's. Let me put that away. Okay, so here is, there's his arm, there's the scar. First of all, he said he didn't know what it was until pellets were falling out of his arms, and I'm calling bullshit on that. That fucking scar right there is not, and I would bet my life on this, that is not the scar that you get when you are shot with bird shot from a shotgun. Gandalf, you can pipe up anytime, bro. If you got something to say, or if you're busy, that's fine. That's cool, whatever. Okay, so everybody get a good look at that scar now. In fact, I'm just going to tell you what I'll do is I'll put that aside, and I'll just put that up here because I want to do side-by-side comparison. You remember it was 2010, I think. Dick Cheney shot this guy in the face. Harry M. Whittington. Somebody respond, otherwise I think I can't tell. If
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm trying to work several things here at the same time.
I need feedback, otherwise, because I don't know my microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's had something hit him in the face pretty intensely. He's got bruises and he's got little spatters all over the place, not a bunch of them all in one place.
Yeah, these little tiny specks on his face, this is what it looks like when you are shot with bird shot from a shotgun. These little specks. Now, the bruises, obviously, he made a public appearance shortly after. This is actually him at the hospital giving a press conference. Okay, so that's why he's still bruised. Now, this other guy, James Rogers, he was shot in November 2016, so he's all healed up from whatever the fuck his problem was. But I'm telling you right now, this is birdshot, and this is not.
Is not in any way, shape, or form.
Now I've got one more picture to show you.
It looks like moulage. I just want to say it looks like somebody applied that on his arm so he could point to it and say, "Ooh, look, I've got shotgun wounds." That's what it looks like.
Looks like road rash to me, or a burn. I mean, the guy, look, he's got long hair. He's a young guy. Maybe he's in California. Maybe he's a punk ass, or he used to be a punk ass skater. Maybe it's an injury from a skateboard or a bicycle accident. Maybe he got burned. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it doesn't even look real, but who knows?
Okay, well, scars there are all kinds of scars, but that definitely
I know.
Look, imagine this guy, Harry Whittington. Look at this guy's face with those little pellet holes. Now, you think this guy's face with those little pellet holes, you think that thing is going to scar looking like that kid's arm?
Nope.
No. Laz, you made it, bro.
Hey, yeah, finally.
Right on, right on.
Awesome.
I'm
glad that I finally figured out what I needed to do. I had to go and right click and select a button that then let me copy a link. And I mean, it was really crazy. It wasn't like invite this person in.
You did a great job. You figure out. Good.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here, brother.
Me too.
So I don't know how much you've been listening, Laz. What do you think of this?
I try to stay away from all that.
Okay.
Because at the end, not on your chat, but on the news, I've been listening on and off because I've been trying to figure this thing out, at least understand what the hell is going on. But when it comes to nowadays, what I see the news is more like a circus. So I'm not a kid anymore to be entertained by circuses.
Okay, well, I'm almost done with this here. And then
no, you go ahead. Anybody can do whatever they want. But I appreciate you guys inviting me.
Awesome. I'm glad you made it, buddy. Okay, so I've got one more quick picture to show you. I was just on the internet looking around for some shotgun wounds or scars from shotguns. Here's a guy who was shot in the leg. And this is what birdshot looks like. This is a real photo of a guy who was shot by a shotgun. This is what it looks like, just like Harry Whittington. These are little pellets, little tiny specks, look like bug bites. This is what it looks like. Does anybody in their right mind think that when this guy's done healing, that the scar is going to fucking look like this shit? No fucking way. Sorry. Complete horse shit. So the story from start to finish is absolute dog shit. If they're gonna
Roof,
yeah,
I seen something like that before, and I saw a guy being shot by salt pellets, and he looks like that.
like the scar on the kid's arm.
Not a scar, but someone that got shot in the back with the shotgun using salt.
Yeah.
Pellets.
Yes, salt pellets.
Salt pepper, yeah. So not normal pellets.
So did it look like this?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know the guy personally?
Yes, I did the guy personally. And
so did you see it after it healed?
Actually, it took a while because he got infected. So after he got infected, it looks like the other one that you showed before.
Okay, so it got infected and then it looked like this. You're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, the story on this kid here, Elliot Rogers or James Rogers. Okay. First, he said that the pellets were falling out of his arm, which is bullshit. And it wasn't salt; they were shotgun pellets. because the report says, and I'll even finish the video clip. The guy says with his own mouth, he said that he went to the hospital to have surgery to have the pellets removed. So if he went to the hospital, I'm going to suspect that it did not get infected. Second of all, he said, the reporter asked, did you file a report? He says, yeah, I told the authorities, or I told either the campground authorities or the campground security or somebody, and he said they didn't seem interested enough to file a report, at which point I said, bullshit. When you go to the authorities and you tell them you were fucking shot and you got to go to the hospital, or you just got back from the hospital and you were shot on their property, they're going to file a fucking report. And furthermore, if you go to the hospital to have shrapnel pellets from a shotgun removed from your arm, guess what, buddy? You're not leaving that fucking hospital without A, speaking to an officer, or B, having the fucking hospital file a report on your behalf. That's the law. You don't go to the hospital to get patched up from a gunshot wound without a fucking report being filed. Sorry. This kid is a lying sack of shit. Not a goddamn word out of this kid's mouth is fucking true. Not only that, but I looked on Facebook. I didn't try Twitter, but I looked on Facebook. I tried LinkedIn. I tried typing his name into Google. I tried looking for James Rogers, a wildlife biologist. Tried all kinds of things. I couldn't fucking find this kid anywhere. This kid is full of shit, and there's no trail. Nobody can look up the report because no report was filed. Fucking bullshit. So what else do I have in my notes? I think I'm about done with this. One of the articles yesterday, Time Magazine article, said, quote, at the time of publishing this article, the GoFundMe page had raised $66,690.
Oh no, that number, I don't know, that number just sounds so familiar.
Okay. One of the news reports, or one of the articles, said CBS News said that the deputies found him bleeding and dying from a gunshot to the head. I mean, that's possible. A gunshot to the head doesn't automatically mean you die right away. Unless it's a direct hit, I mean, you're going to die right away then. But it's possible to get hit in the head and slowly die. It's possible. In fact, there are people that have survived some horrible head trauma. There's an old story, and this is totally true. You can look this up. It was an old construction worker who had a pipe. It was like a 2-inch diameter pipe go all the way through his fucking skull. All the way through, under his jaw, out the top of his head, and it just destroyed his frontal lobe, and he survived. Okay, we looked up AC Dex, Algerian.
I do find it interesting that the only thing I found on a search for AC Dex was off Wikipedia. I found nothing else that addressed it. All the other stuff was something totally unrelated.
Okay. Yes, Adelaide, this guy is nowhere to be found. I'm guessing he's a totally made-up character. I can't find this guy anywhere, and I find it absolutely unfucking believable that anybody was shot with shotgun pellet with a shotgun and went to the hospital for surgery to remove shotgun pellets, and nobody filed a report. I'm sorry. That's just horseshit.
I looked and looked myself, and there was nothing to be found. Just Zippo.
Yeah, reality check. The shotguns have a different spread based on the barrel length, the choke, and also the distance from being fired. Anything under 4 inches, he says, that is under 10 yards guarantee. So no, number one, when you get shot with shotgun pellets, I find it very hard to believe that he knew what it was because the fucking pellets were falling out of his arm. Number two, he went to have surgery to have them removed, so I doubt he got an infection. No way that scar is from shotgun pellets. And the guy with the pipe in his head is now a trooper named Richie from Boston. No, but that is a true story. That you can look that one up. It was a big pipe, and it went all the way through his head. Really nasty. And he survived. But that's a totally true story.
Only girls named Gabby survive point-blank gunshots to forehead. True, Blue. I think you're right. So, let's see. What else is being said in the chat? Since making up stories is legal, they going hog wild. Absolutely. Absolutely. Am I the only one here? Hello?
Sorry. My fucking microphone keeps disconnecting itself.
Puking on you, huh?
Yeah, it just, if I bump it, there's, I think, a bad connection in the cord somewhere, so I just have to leave it alone. And if I have to rearrange it if I'm going to play something off the screen. And I can't, if I'm not watching, I can't, if I don't get a response from somebody, I don't know if it's cut out on me or not. So yeah. So, Miguel, Laz, what do you want me to call you, bro? Laz or Miguel?
Laz.
Okay. Welcome, brother. Gandalf, are you still with us?
He's muted at the moment, so it's noisy at his end. And that's why we're not hearing much from him.
Yeah, Gabby's got to pretend to be retarded for her whole life. Joke's on her. What was that? What Cassidy Stay? That's what Cassidy Stay
Yes.
is the other girl who got shot in the head. She's fine. She was out of the hospital the next day, I think.
Yeah, without so much as a scar.
Or a shaved head.
Yeah, or a shaved head. Or any evidence of any kind.
Hey, what about that blonde guy that was shot in the head from the Las Vegas the concert shooting? Do you remember that?
Not specifically. There was quite a bit going on with that particular psyop.
Yeah, he didn't even have stitches. Like 2 days later, he's giving an interview and showing something on the back of his head.
Kind of like what's his name from Orlando.
No bruising, no shaved head, no stitches. He's fine.
Yeah, it's a miracle. All the people that get into the news are miracles. That's it. They only do miracles on the news.
All right, let me get my other notes out here. Brother Laz, how you been, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right, man.
Well, to be honest with you, Laz, I agree with you. I hate covering that shit.
I don't know. I think you can get pretty amused by it.
Yeah, it's a little bit fun, but it's also frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
You hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a business, so as corporation rules goes, you're okay to lie. What matters is the profit. So profit over people is the way to go in a business nowadays. So no ethics.
Yeah,
exactly.
and the media is entertainment. The media is, they have no responsibility to tell you the truth.
No,
And
not only the media, politics.
sure.
Yep.
Thanks to Obama and the 2008 NDAA, they're now legally allowed to, they got rid of Smith-Munn. They're now allowed to full-blown propagandize American
Yes.
people. So
Yes,
When
they
you
are.
got the criminals making the laws, everything is legal.
yeah, so nobody's under any obligation to tell us any truth.
Well,
Oh,
that's reality. No one is obligated to tell you the truth. Not even them, not I, no you, not anybody.
well, there were
So
some legal protections for us
Yeah, but
for a
how fucked
while
there was, Amy, but how fucked up is it that now what are they doing? They're talking about fake news and they want to censor the internet, and then now they have Facebook little algorithm bots running around warning people that this information is untrustworthy.
Yes.
Because they're so concerned about making sure the truth gets out.
Yes.
well, if you want to go after the people reporting the real stuff, and then you have to make everything fake, so people get tired of watching whatever, then on hours. So once you BS detector start uh, getting programmed to the agenda that everything is fake, then when we come here in YouTube and say something that is true, people are gonna say, "Oh, well, it's probably fake." Also,
It's
so
possible, but when we say things are true, it's because we have evidence. We don't just go,
well,
oh yeah, that sounds true to me. We go, oh look, here's
it
this picture of blood all over everywhere, and here's this picture
it
of
depends. It depends because the evidence that you are procuring to the people, you are proposing to the people, it could be made up also by them.
well, I agree that they could do a much better job of their
So
evidence.
once the benefit of the doubt is there, the seed of doubt is planted
Yes.
by the reverse psychology of the media and calling everything fake, but themselves fake, then people already start to getting a little bit bored listening to anybody providing evidence, because unless you were there
Yeah,
and you took the picture yourself, then you might have a point. But other than that,
true.
it's not saying. It's not saying.
I'll definitely give you that. I do want to mention something. Johnny Supertramp said, the news is supposed to tell people the truth, but none of it is real. However, that's not really true. If you look at every single news outlet, they're listed as entertainment.
Yes.
And entertainment doesn't have to be the truth.
No.
So,
They're under that's what I meant by they're under no obligation to tell you the truth.
not anymore. Not since the Smith-Mundt Act was modernized in 2012.
Well, because also with the technology that we have today, they have to switch gear. Before it was trying to cover the news and give it a twist. Now they are creating the news, and we have an avalanche of information. So people dealing with the everyday life, they hard for them to sort out what is and what is not. So when you have genetically modified information that is created by them, then people will absorb it as well as a natural or true information. So it's a psychological war. And in a psychological war made by corrupt people, psychopaths, there are no rules, there are no laws. So if we try to use the laws that they invent to protect themselves, then not only we are wasting our time, we also are validating their laws as true. So we have to be careful when we use the laws to validate their claim of authority to create the law in the first place. And we have to be careful about that.
Yes, yes, indeed. Did Aaron lose his mic again?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep. Okay. You just didn't say anything, and I thought, maybe the mic's gone.
I'm just gonna. I had a screenshot of somebody leaving a comment relating to the Maryland newspaper shooting, but I'm going to leave that out. We're already moving forward, so let's just go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to keep checking to make sure my microphone doesn't shut me off. So Gandalf, he is got his microphone muted, so he said that there's some shit going on in his background, and I think he's busy trying to help his sister move. And so Gandalf, if you're listening, feel free to pipe in anytime you want, brother. Before I forget, though, I got an announcement since everybody is in here. I personally will not be here next week. Next Friday, I won't be here. Amy and Gandalf, you guys are free if you want to. You guys can do a show if you want, but I won't be here. I will be in Kentucky attending a protest known as the Ark Encounter protest. And if you don't know what that is, the Ark Encounter is this fucking monstrosity constructed by a man by the name of Ken Ham, who is a Christian apologist who spent, get this, $100 million to reconstruct a full-size replica of Noah's Ark as a theme park, and he scammed Kentucky out of I think at least $18 million. And then he tried playing some footsie game with the taxes because he's a part of a religious organization, so they're supposed to be tax-free. But what he did was he sold the property to his other foundation, because they want to make this theme park and they need to recover their money, and so they need to make a profit. And so I think Kentucky, I'll get the details on this later, and I'm going to get some interviews while I'm up there with some well-known people. They're going to be there. He sold the property for like $5 to either himself or one of his other foundations, which was a nonprofit, so that he could get the tax break. And then state of Kentucky was like, no, you can't. And then so he had to sell it back to himself again, and then ultimately costing himself or having to cough up some of the taxes. And it's just a huge fucking stink over this whole thing. It's monstrosity. It's anti-science. It's failing. They're not pulling in hardly, not even half of what they projected as attendance. So they're not recovering their money. It's just a huge flop. And I'm going to go up to Kentucky to help out some protesters out there. And I'm going to meet some interesting people and get some cool interviews. So I won't be here next week. So if Amy and Gandalf would like to do a show next week, that's between you guys.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to get with Gandalf and talk to him about that. But let's put it at a 50-50.
When I talked to Gandalf last night, he said he was totally willing to do a show. So that's up to you guys. You guys work that out if you want to. That's totally fine.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so free will and morality. Let's look up the definition of ethics and the definition of morality before we get into anything between Amy and me going round and round and round. Morality. Principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior. Synonym, ethics. So they are synonymous, Amy.
Well, that's what they say, but let me ask you. There are places on this planet where it is considered ethical, moral, to stone a woman to death for wearing a bikini in public. That is their morality in that area. That's what people believe. That's what they think. They think that is moral. But I can tell you for a fact, there is never, ever, 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 ever any time that would be ethical.
Well, that may just be your personal opinion. Since they are synonymous, I'm looking up the definition of ethics, and it starts off by saying moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity.
Well,
so the definition of ethics is moral. A moral principle is a definition of ethics.
Well, there are 3 laws of ethics, and you can't go stoning people to death for wearing bikinis.
Why don't and by the way, regarding the 3 laws of ethics, where do you get that from?
They're ancient, Aaron. I don't remember where all I've seen them, but
Well, I mean, you constantly going on about the 3 laws of ethics. I want to know, is that something that you heard of, or is that something you thought of? I mean, did you hear it or read it somewhere, or is it something you just conjured and thought about? Fuck, did I lose my mic again?
I can hear you.
No, I had my mic muted because we had some issues over here, and then I forgot to turn it back on. Okay, no, I read that decades and decades ago.
Okay,
and
so you read it.
Occasionally I've run into it, and I was led to believe they are ancient laws. And let's face it, I don't know anybody who thinks that there's something right about doing these things. I will recite the 3 laws of ethics again. Do not willfully and without fully informed consent hurt or kill the flesh of another. Do not willfully and without fully informed consent take or damage that which does not belong to you alone. And do not defraud another, which can only happen without fully informed consent.
Okay, let me read to you what I have here on the 3 primary schools of ethics.
Okay.
What are the primary schools of thought in contemporary ethics? In my reading, there are 3 primary schools of thought in contemporary ethics, namely 1, consequentialism, 2, deontology, I don't know what that is, and 3, virtue ethics. Number 1, consequentialism consists of different varieties of utilitarianism and hedonism. The main idea is that morality is not based on rules, good intentions, or goals, but only on the consequences that result from our behavior. The basic good is pleasure or happiness. The utilitarian, for example, seeks the greatest good for the greatest number. Number 2, deontology consists of different varieties of rules of rule morality. The main idea is that morality is based on rules, good intentions, and goals. The consequences do not matter as long as the person's heart was in the right place. The greatest good is obedience to the rules or divine laws. This is where religion is going to come into play. Whether or not that brings pleasure or pain, religion tends to be deontologist. Number 3, virtue ethics is a new variety of ethics. What's that? Anscombe and Hursthouse. The main idea is that character is the measure of all morality, and this is intuitive in every person, including children. The immorality of punishing the innocent and breaking promises is intuitive for all people, for all time. Morality is based on this. So this is what I just pulled up with a quick look at the three. I just typed in the 3 laws of ethics.
Well, I don't know where I saw that. Like I said, it's been decades. And
Okay,
decades.
well, look, for the
And
purpose
it's
of,
probably been close to a decade since I last saw it. So,
all right, well, for the purpose of this conversation, we're not going to differentiate. They are synonymous. Ethics and morality are synonymous. And let's just go with that. I don't want to nitpick or play syntax games, if you know what I mean.
sounds okay to me.
So I'll ask you guys first, and you guys can take turns answering. Laz, you go first. Where do we get our morality? And by the way, before we start, Laz, are you a man of faith?
No.
Okay, you're not a man. Oh, so you're an atheist.
No.
Agnostic.
I will not call myself agnostic, but anyone that might understand it as that. In other words, I will explain it a little simpler. I have no beliefs. I only know or I don't know. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Okay. So that's interesting, and that's good to know. So as a non-believer in the faith or in religion, where would you say we humans, where do we derive our morality?
I don't see anything as absolute. So I think there are different factors. There are objective and subjective factors on this. I think primarily we got it from nature. And as you said before, in the definition that you said, that we observe the cause that we do or the action, and then we observe the consequences of our actions. So we limit ourselves to do that which will not come back to us, and we have to pay the price for it. So it is a simple way of putting it. If anybody familiar with the Bible, what it says, whatever you plant, you will sow. So it's as simple as that.
Hi, Cerebra. Cerebra-sana's in our chat.
Woohoo!
Amy, what do you think? Where do we get our morality?
Well, I think it is the idea is foundational for any functional society. If we didn't have some sense of, we shouldn't do that to others, we shouldn't behave in these fashions, etc. If we didn't have some sense of that, society would not function. And so I think it is a foundational seed in our stigmergic behavior that most of us, not including the psychopaths, carry with us.
Cerebra's in Italy. Awesome. I love Italy.
I'd love to find out whether I love Italy.
Oh, you would?
I'm sure I would.
Rome was amazing.
I want to go love Italy.
just don't go to Florence in the summertime, unless you like the smell of an outhouse.
No.
They have open sewers, and it's not pleasant.
No.
Yeah, you're walking down the street, and you're admiring the gorgeous the buildings and the architecture, and then the wind changes, and you get a waft of, and you go, oh. So yeah, they need to work on that. Okay, so Amy, I agree with you. Laz, I agree with you. I would only add that with consequentialism, with the definition that I read a moment ago, that the consequences of our actions are subjective. Like Laz says, there are some that are objective and some subjective, because obviously intention comes into play. Because, I mean, if I'm driving down the road and maybe my tire blows and I lose control of my vehicle and I run over a small child. You know, certainly that's not in the best interest of the child. Certainly that's not in the well-being of the child. It doesn't serve any beneficial. It only serves harm. But is it moral or immoral? I would say that is amoral. So the consequences of that action, it becomes irrelevant. So, you know, like Laz said, that everything is, there's really not absolutes.
Well, hold on. The example you gave there was not a willful doing of it. You didn't say, I'm going to go hit that child.
Well, like I said, intention comes into play.
Yeah, if you didn't intend to do that and it was an accident, that I'm going to say that falls into the category of accident and isn't applicable in any sense we're talking about.
Sure, that's why we have courts and that's why we have laws.
I disagree, Amy, because it doesn't matter. For every action, there is an equal reaction. So independent of the intention or the willful or the ignorance, the individual that committed the action is going to pay the consequences and somebody else. So regardless of the knowledge of the intention behind, whether it was because of ignorance, still the consequences are going to be there.
Well, I agree that there will be consequences, but I still say that accidents are not the same thing as morals or ethics, whichever you want to use.
Well, what you call an accident, it could be called by others determinism, that it was meant to happen.
Well, yeah, they could say that, but then if they say that, then morals and ethics don't enter into it because something's decided it's going to happen no matter what, and we're just stuck with it.
Well, okay. But how could you argue that when we don't know the facts? The only one that knew the facts was the individual that committed the action, and maybe he doesn't know.
Well, still, if he had no intention of running over a kid and it happened, then I would say that is an accident because he said his car malfunctioned. And we can surely look at malfunctioning cars and see if there's a problem. And if he says, oh, yeah, it malfunctioned, but there's no evidence of that, then we might question his statement.
But let's say that's true. It's still going to be consequences if the individual. Listen to me. It's still probably going to have to be consequences because the individual was injured is going to want to have remedy. He want to have compensation. So, yeah, and only let's say none of that happened, and the individual had good intentions. It was an accident. It still is probably going to have psychological consequences for the individual.
Well, okay, there will be consequences, but it's still an amoral action. It's not moral or immoral.
Well, like you said, you define morality before.
So let's create another hypothetical situation. Cerebrasana mentioned she's chatting with Reality Check and asked the question, what if he wanted you to wear a burqa? Or like, let's say, you know, in some countries in the Middle East, in some Muslim countries, that you can beat your wife if she shows her ankles. Or, you know, they can throw gay people off of rooftops. Well, they can behead people for, they can kill you and stone you to death for infidelity. They can stone you to death for infidelity. They can kill you in all different ways, particularly beheading, hanging, stoning for the crime of apostasy. In other words, if you try to leave the Muslim religion, you take your life into your hands if you try to be an atheist in a Muslim country.
Well,
so, I mean, we're talking about basically
like we're talking about that's wrong from my point of view and my perspective. However, there is also children in other countries dying because the puppet president did not commit to the compliance of the authorities of the corporations. So it is justifiable to use one example of one individual in one place, or to use hundreds of thousands being killed. No morality there whatsoever neither. So if we're gonna talk about murder, which is what happened to that lady, murder, an immoral act, then let's talk about all kind of immorality going around that are supported by the majority on the countries that were the ones that did the immoral acts, and also paying the people that are committing those crimes, and it's okay for them. So how can a society that is supporting criminals killing children, women, and children in other countries by bombing, assaulting, invading their country, have the capacity to this one murder as immoral? They should shut the fuck up.
Well, basically, this boils down to so you believe in the concept of moral relativity or moral relativism.
I don't believe in anything. I either know or I don't know. And I know what my conscience tells me. So if it's subjective or objective, if I go against my conscience, then I've been fighting myself.
Okay, so but your conscience is subjective. It's
yes.
not.
No, it's also objective and subjective. It's both. No. Conscience is not objective. Objective means you have to be able to show and prove. Subjective is more or less an opinion. So I have to show it to you.
That's what objective means.
So objective means that I have to have proof of my feelings.
That's what yeah.
Isn't that what objective means? That's not objective.
Yes, that. Let's look objective up.
Let's just make sure that we get our definitions correct.
Yeah.
Objective is of a person or their judgment, not influenced by personal feelings or opinions in considering and representing facts. So your conscience does not represent facts.
It does to me.
Well, that's.
But you're the only one.
But that's not demonstratable. That's only a feeling that you have. No, you can't demonstrate your feelings to me.
I don't.
You can't prove to me how you can say how you feel. You can claim and make statements and assertions about how your feelings and how your internal intuitions feel. But you can't demonstrate to somebody. You can't prove how you feel. I can tell you right now I'm in a good mood. You don't have to believe me. I couldn't prove that I'm in a good mood. I could pretend and act like I'm in a good mood, but my personal internal feelings, my emotions, there's no way to demonstrate that in an objective manner. An unfalsifiable, factual manner. You can't prove it.
It's true.
To you.
That you can't.
That's the point. That is the point.
That's the whole point between the distinction of subjective and objective.
That's right.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Objective is an object, so it's reality itself. So if I will not do something because I consider immoral, then I will judge or use my judgment when I see someone committing something or acting something out that I would not do myself.
But you just said objective. The root word of objective is object. It's based
Yes.
on physical reality, something that can
Yes.
be demonstrated.
Yes.
But a minute ago you said that you said that your emotions, your intuition is objective. It's not objective.
My feelings.
That's still,
Yes.
it's not objective.
Not to you.
Not to anybody.
Not to anybody.
It is to me.
How about this? How about this, Laz? How about if I said not even to you? How about if I give you an example? Like I said, I'll just give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
Maybe you had a deep heart feeling and you were 100% sure that your wife was not cheating on you, right?
Okay.
And in your mind, you were 100% sure, and you said, okay, this is objective, okay? So you settle on this idea that your feelings that your wife is faithful, and you feel that that's an objective opinion. However, it is true that our feelings can be wrong.
Yes.
So, I mean, you may find out later on that your wife was cheating on you, and then you realize that whatever feelings you had that you thought were objective were actually wrong. So even our own feelings are not objective by definition.
Like I said, they are objective and subjective. They could be both, because you could be right.
You could be right, but it's not demonstratable. It's not unfalsifiable.
It's only demonstrable when you know.
But
in
you
other words,
don't know. Feelings are not factual. Even our own feelings can be wrong.
Yes, but it could be right.
Well,
but that's falsifiable.
When you have something that could be either way, objective and subjective, then we can say that feelings are objective sometimes and subjective sometimes. The only difference is when you entertain the idea and then you prove it as true.
I disagree. I don't think you can have anything that can be both objective and subjective. It's
really?
I'm pretty sure it's either one or the other, and I'm going to check the chat and see what people think about this. But by definition, they're the antithesis of each other. They're opposites. You can't have something that's black and white at the same time.
Yes.
Everybody's quiet. Did I lose my mic?
No. I'm just not sure what to add here. I think you were doing an admirable job.
Cerebra said, the very concept of being faithful to someone is also subjective and, quote, learned and tied to religion.
True.
Yes, that's correct. The concept itself, the concept of being faithful, because we are talking about moral relativism in this case, because we could live in a culture or a society where there is no such thing as being faithful, where you could have partners, but there's no imaginary society. And in fact, some relationships known as polyamorous relationships, where neither partner gives a shit if the other partner has other partners. So there's no need to be faithful. It's not a requirement, and it's not a part of that relationship. So I agree, Cerebra. But that's the concept of faithful. I only use that as an example to show that our feelings can be wrong, and to show that feelings are not subjective or not objective, but subjective. Feelings are not objective. They cannot be demonstrated, and they cannot be unfalsified.
So anything that it could be objective sometimes, that is true sometimes, is not objective.
Say that again.
You admit that the feelings could be untrue or could be subjective or are subjective because they could be wrong.
That's correct.
But
they could.
That opens a degree of it could be right also.
But that doesn't make your feeling objective. It makes it subjective.
I didn't say they were subjective only. I say they were both.
That you can't have both. You can't have, I don't know of anything in the world that can be both objective and subjective.
Okay, let's say for example, you see a car pass by you. You got 3 people, eyewitnesses. Some people saw the car as green, some people saw the car as blue, some people saw the car as another color. Now, one of them has to be right. The other one has to be wrong. So there is 3 people arguing about the color of the car.
And
but
two
then
of them
again,
and 2 of them are
again,
colorblind.
I'm sorry?
And maybe 2 of them are colorblind.
Maybe, but we got too many maybes. We got too many coulds. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if something could be both at the same time, then we have to realize that there is a possibility that it could be also objective and subjective. Because you said you could be wrong. So could to me is saying that also you could be right, right? It's a 50-50 chance. So when you got 50 chance that you could be right, you got a 50 chance that you could be wrong. So then both are true.
Can I interject here? Okay. The evidence of what it really is the objective part. How you felt before or after or during or in between or whatever, none of that is objective. That is merely subjective. The reality of it does not make it either objective or subject. Your feelings. All it says is that your feelings happen to be right or happen to be wrong, but your feelings are subjective. The evidence is what is the objective element.
The definition of objective has factual built into the definition, and it has to be demonstrated to all parties involved. Everybody has to agree that, yes. Like if I have a rock, if I had a piece of granite in my hand, everybody would agree that that is a hard object. It's hard. Right? It's not soft. It's hard. But you know, like, okay, maybe that's a bad example because hard, the word hard is actually an opinion. Some people might, because there are things that are harder, and by comparison, someone would say, well, it's not as hard as that. So that again may be a bad example. But by definition, objective is something that is demonstrated and, like I keep repeating, is unfalsifiable.
Maybe what you should say in your rock example is that everybody would agree it's a rock.
Well, I don't know. If we were talking to John LeBon, he would say it's not a bone.
Well, I think he goes a little off the deep end, but that's my opinion.
John LeBon would say, well, is it a bone? Is it a fossil? Is it a mineral? So yeah, I wonder what Gandalf is up to. Gandalf, are you around, buddy? You can pipe up anytime if you're listening, if you're not busy. He's probably busy.
Probably busy.
All right, so I'm going to ask the chat people one more time. I want opinions, people. Help me out. Does anybody agree that, can anybody think of anything that can be both objective and subjective at the same time? Yeah, reality check. Mohs scale.
I like Mad Pie Man's comment. There is no rock.
Johnny said, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman.
Cerebra says, don't rock the boat.
Okay, Allison says there is evidence of emotion.
Yeah.
The fact that we have emotion is true. That I would say is objective.
Yep.
But what kind of emotion you're having cannot be classified as objective.
Exactly. You know, for example,
hey, Johnny said you can be asleep and awake at the same time. Good one.
Well, I think that you said that we're not going to get into semantics, but a pain is a feeling, right?
Yes,
Okay, so is pain subjective or objective?
it's subjective.
Subjective.
Some people enjoy it. Some people don't feel it like other people do. Some people don't feel it at all. They have nerve conditions.
Yep.
Okay, so
I mean, this is a good discussion. We could,
well,
this
well,
is,
what I'm trying to say is, are you picking examples of exceptions or the rules, or we talking about general?
well, I'm trying to just try to drill down to what we can define and agree on as in terms of.
Well, do you have? It's easy. Let's have a vote in the chat. Is anybody in the chat that if he's get hit by a rock, don't feel pain?
I didn't hear. Is it? What did you say? Is everybody what?
Let's take a vote in the chat section, and let's see if anybody in the chat
In the
when
what?
he get hit in the chat section, in the chat section. If anybody there, when he doesn't get, if he get hit by a rock, doesn't feel pain.
I'm going to guess that the majority of people feel pain when they get hit by a rock. However, as Aaron pointed out, there are some people who don't.
Some people would enjoy it. Some people would feel more than others.
Yep.
Yes, but they will feel the pain. We're talking about now degrees. Some people feel more than others.
Not necessarily. Like.
Well, there are conditions where people don't feel pain.
Don't feel pain at all.
Yes, but that by itself is objective for them. They don't feel pain. That's their objectivity. But for the others, they feel pain is subjective. So either way, it's subjective for the one that feel pain and the one that doesn't feel pain. It's subjective for them.
So I'll read the definition again. It says, in parentheses, it says it's of a person or their judgment. So the concept of objectivity is referring to people and their ideas, their judgments. And it says that it's not influenced by personal feelings. It's not influenced by opinions.
Okay.
In considering and representing facts.
Yes. So a feeling, pain is a feeling, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you hit someone in the head with a rock and you feel pain, it's not subjective.
Laz, what's objective is that the rock struck somebody's body. However, we can't all just go, oh, look, he's experiencing an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 of pain. None of us can give it that. That makes it subjective.
Yeah, the definition says not influenced by personal feelings or opinions.
The person hit can say, oh, I think that's an 8 on the scale of 10, but nobody else can. Ergo, he is the subject of the pain, but no one else is, and no one else can prove. They can't even prove he is in pain.
The only thing that we can prove is...
Did I say before that is objective and subjective because I cannot demonstrate it to you?
And that makes it subjective.
That's right. So that's subjective.
And objective at the same time.
No.
Because it's subjective for me and subjective for you.
That you are subjected to it.
Yes, but by objective, by an object.
Well, there will be elements that are objective surrounding, but the specific feelings are subjective.
We're not going to agree on that one, so we better move on.
I think so.
I think Amy explained it really well when she said, if I throw a rock and hit somebody, that's objective. Nobody could disagree that the person was not hit by a rock. We could all agree that, yes, you were hit by a rock. That is objective. Now, whether or not You feel pain, whether or not you're angry that you were hit by a rock, this is subjective. All your feelings, your emotions, your opinions, subjective, full stop.
Yep.
Okay. I disagree, so let's move on.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's back to the concept of morality. What do you think of the idea of morality being objective or subjective? So earlier we were talking about moral relativism, and some cultures think certain behaviors are acceptable, and other cultures are repulsed or would agree that that's not acceptable. So, do you think that morality can be objective?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So you think morality, the possibility that morality can be objective. So in other words, that everybody can agree. So in what sense, by what standard, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just wanting you to maybe define it a little better with your own words. By what standard would you gauge that? What metric would you use to judge that concept that morality, any morality, can be objective?
I think that morality is subjective as far as consequences. Like I said before, nature teaches us that for every action there is a reaction. So one of the first rules of a living organism is self-preservation. So eventually we learn by example that it is in our best interest not to do something to someone that we don't like others do to us.
Okay, so I think we can all agree that the idea that the well-being of humans or animals, and we could extend that to animals, but we'll just focus on humans. So the idea that humans have a benefit or a well-being, the well-being of humans is in the best interest of all people. Yeah?
The well-being of humans?
Yes.
Well, I won't generalize it that way. Like I said, I don't go by absolutes.
Well, we're talking about morality now. So, I mean, the basis of morality, what's good and what's right and what is wrong. Mm-hmm. So how do we judge? Because now we're talking about subjective. We're back to opinions. Because, right? So what is right and what is wrong? An action that one person takes, and the outcome of that action is judged on the basis of morality. And soon, it's already 9 o'clock, so I want to move on to free will soon, because we'll have fun with that one. But let's just tinker with this a little bit longer. So the idea,
like I said, morality is both objective and subjective. I don't go by absolute saying that something has to be only one. In my experience, I see that objective reality has some morality. There is when you have a system, a natural system that is codependent and have a bio connection to all living things, then I think that like you said, for the well-being of everything, then we have to either it's in our best interest to collaborate with that system to make it good or to keep it not to go wrong.
Okay, so I think that we can agree that human well-being is in the best interest of literally everyone. Yeah?
Though some might not see that, I say yes.
Well, like I said, I can get an example that someone that I don't care much if he dies or suffer a penalty for their actions. So, like I said, to generalize that all humanity, I care about the well-being of all humanities. No, I don't care about the well-being of people like Bush or people like Rockefeller. I don't care about their well-being.
Well, fair enough. I mean, we all have our opinions as to some people who, deserve their comeuppance. There are certainly people who have done some wrong things, and they deserve to, they deserve to pay for that. And I agree with you there. I wouldn't shed a tear if George Bush was accidentally fell into a wood chipper.
Or Trump or Obama or fill in the puppet of the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let's hang on a second. Let me check my notes here. Most of the notes I have are basically based on the free will discussion that you and I started a long time ago. Contemporary version of the Greek philosopher Epicurus. Okay.
Well,
Right,
there's a book that I would like to recommend people to read, and it's called by Thomas Paine, not Thomas Paine, the Mark Twain, called What is Man? And I recommend people to read that book.
What is Man?
Yes, and also by shoot, I forgot. Thomas Paine. Also, there is a book called The Rights of Man. That's also a good book that people should read if they're interested on this subject.
I'm writing that down. The Rights of Man?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can agree that the concept of morality is based on the human civilization as it grows and evolved to work with each other, that it's beneficial for literally everyone involved, or I would just speak everybody in general. It's beneficial for everybody to be concerned for the well-being of others.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you ask me, I think that's just where our morality comes from. It comes from evolution. It comes from the emotion of empathy, from the parent to child, the concept of parent to child empathy, which is a natural.
Oh, you also come from logic and reason.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
However, in the animal world, there are moral standards in the animal world that don't come from logic and reason.
Like I said, it's also objective in nature. That's what I said. It's objective and subjective at the same time.
Do you guys ever wonder why all animals look cute? Baby animals?
I think I know the answer, and it has to do with the ratio of the size of the head to the size of the body.
And the eyes.
And the eyes.
The size of the eyes.
Yes. The ratio of the size of the eyes to the head to the body.
Yep.
That's possible too, but I heard that the main reason is because all animals can see that cuteness in babies, and so it's basically an evolutionary trait not to have the other animal eat it, basically.
Ah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, now that Gandalf is back, did you have something else you want? You have something else you want to add?
Oh, I've been in and out, missing a lot of stuff. Stuff's starting to finally settle down here.
Okay.
But yeah, keep going, you guys.
All right. Well, before we move on to the free will argument, we were just talking about the concept of objectivity and subjectivity in relation to morality. Do you think morality is objective or subjective? Do you think morality can be objectified?
Like, is it real or not, right?
Yes. Can it be unfalsifiable?
I honestly don't think, as much as we want to believe that it is real, I don't think that it really is real. I think it's just a point of view that we have. Something's wrong, you know what I mean?
Well, what defines right and wrong?
There is no definition for it, really. If you strip away morality, there really isn't.
Are you sure?
I don't know. That's just how I look at it, you know.
Well, it's in my best interest to have morality and to display that to the people around me for the mutual benefit of the group, the family, the society at large. As the golden rule, and this, straight out of the Bible, do unto others. This is where this comes from. The concept that I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. So we generalize what we consider right and wrong for the mutual benefit of everyone involved.
Well, that's a judgment and a feeling.
Yes. Not well.
We can measure the consequences, if not the motives.
Okay, so we got the consequences, which that's what I said to begin with. So if we can measure the consequences on a feeling, then that makes it objective.
No, that just makes the consequences objective. The feelings are not.
So then Aaron is talking about a subjective idea.
Yeah.
If we work for the goose.
Oh, I agree.
Well,
you see the situation here, Aaron. You have a feeling they have to be objective reasons, but you cannot prove it to anybody else. But for you, it's true, and that's what I said before. We can, with some kind of certainty, predict what the effect or the reaction will be, or the consequences will be of our action. So how many times do we have to shoot someone to know that that individual is going to suffer pain before we accept it as an objective idea and not subjective? How many tests do we have to do before we accept that as an objective situation, or a fact, or evidence, and not a judgment and an opinion?
Well, I tend to agree with you, Laz, except for the definition of objective.
Then the definition is wrong.
Maybe so. I mean, language and meaning changes over time. Absolutely.
We're using 2,000-year definitions.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how old that word is.
because we are setting a rule for ourselves or someone else's definition of our reality. And we go try to accommodate our thoughts and ideas and experiences to someone else's definition. Why would I have to go up with that definition?
Look, in a way, I see what you're saying. Like, I'll give you an example. If you know, me and you and a bunch of our friends and a whole group of people, we stumble across a dog that was just hit by a car, and you can hear the dog whining, and you can see his leg is broke and he's limping, and you can see the dog shaking, and his heart is palpitating, he's breathing heavy, and I think we could all agree that the dog is in pain, and that seems objective.
Aaron, the definition implied by itself that the proof that something is objective is because a group of people consent to it. That's democracy. So by itself, we are validating, by accepting that definition, we are validating a system, a political system, or a religious system. Now, I am an individual. I do not fit my life according to someone else's definition of words. I use my experience, my feelings, my intuition, and my observable consequences as my guide. I do not have to comply, or I do not have to support other people's definition of words. I don't expect anyone to agree. If they do, so be it. But to me, what is true not necessarily have to be proven by the majority.
Well,
I am the kingdom of one.
That's not how societies are built, though. I mean, this is not how people get along and create a functioning group or society.
Not necessarily.
I mean, we can't just all live by our own definitions.
Yes, yes.
Hey,
we've been
Patch.
doing.
Patch is in the chat. Sorry, Laz. Go ahead.
If your definition of something and my definition of something is the same, I want it to be because we both end up at the same truth. Not because I agree with you or you agree with me, but because there's nothing else beyond that. So we can only go on to that point. So if we have 2 million people in this world accepting something as true, because there is nothing beyond that, and that's what it is not because we agree with each other, but it's because 2 million people found the truth. And there is nothing beyond that.
Well, I mean, I hope you would agree that there are benefits to having definitions that we all agree on. I mean, we can't, like I said,
in the process of getting there, yes, because we need in the ladder, we need something to step on. Like I said, when I said before, I know how to entertain an idea without accepting it as a fact. So the fact that I'm entertaining the idea and that I can use it to build upon to move forward towards the facts or the evidence or the truth is helpful. But in society today, we are stuck in the opinions and beliefs, and we got stuck there. And what we do is we argue about our own opinions or about our intuition or our perspective in a circular argument. But when it comes to provide facts for ourselves, then we lack those facts. So definitions help in the process, but it's not the be all
end all.
And all. It is a tool.
Okay, but without definitions, we are doomed to disagree. We're doomed to not work together. We can't work together if our definition.
But we have definition for every single word in this life, and we still disagree.
Mostly on concepts. This is the most of the disagreement comes on from concepts.
Exactly. But we use words.
But I mean, you're talking. But you're talking about having your own definitions now.
Yeah.
Once it comes to the reality of the thing, there are no definitions of it, because whatever we learn, whatever we get to discover.
What? Wait. Once we come to the reality of a thing, there are no definitions?
There are no definitions.
That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction in terms. Once you understand the reality of something, that is in and of itself the definition.
No.
That's how you define things, by understanding the reality.
How can you define something that you just find out about it and you haven't experienced it yet?
You just said by finding out the reality. You said once we find out the reality, there are no definitions.
There are no definitions.
After finding out the reality, that doesn't follow.
Well, you probably want an example then. Okay. Define to me colors.
Colors?
Yes.
I'll define colors.
Go ahead.
Hang on, I'm handing out another wrench. Yeah, colors. Colors are wavelengths of light that can be measured by frequencies.
Okay. Do you hear all the frequencies there are?
Do I hear?
Yes. Or do you listen, see, or smell? Okay. So how do you define how that definition will be true if you don't know all there is?
You don't have to know all there is to understand that.
But that's reality. Reality is knowing everything there is about something.
No. Reality is not knowing everything there is. No. Reality is knowing something about the world around you.
Yes.
Reality is knowing something?
Yeah, but not everything.
So how can you define
know everything to have reality, to understand reality? You don't. I mean, the more you know, the more reality you understand.
So now you want to retouch on the definition of reality according to your book?
You're breaking up, bro. Say again.
Do you want to check on that definition of reality again?
Again? We didn't check on it the first time.
Okay, maybe you should then.
The definition. You want me to look up the definition of reality?
Yeah.
Amy,
because you said that as long as you know something.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
That is, then you know partially.
The quality, reality, the quality or state of being actual or true. One, such as a person, an entity, or an event that is actual. The weight of history and political realities. Well, I don't know about.
We can,
bad example.
Yeah, we don't have to read the example. The definition is good enough.
The totality of all things possessing actuality, existence, or essence.
Well, I think the totality defines what I said.
No.
Everything there is to know.
Not the way you do.
No, the thing is that the first definition is the quality or state of being actual or true. That's the primary definition of reality.
Okay.
So the more we know, the more we can understand what reality is, but we can still understand a fair chunk of reality without knowing everything.
I didn't say understanding. What I said was that definitions, once you know everything there is to be about a particular object or situation, then you don't need definition to explain it. You know. That is true.
But you don't have to know everything there is to know to understand.
How can it be the totality if you don't need to know everything?
Well, Roof, what if you had only ever seen black and you're blind and all you've ever seen is darkness? Somebody tried to explain to you what blue is or green is. How are you going to differentiate that in your mind?
Then you don't know the totality. Because you are lack the senses to perceive the totality of it. It's not your fault.
But, okay, so you're only one person and you're limited. You don't have the ability to conceptualize.
You can't know everything because you're only one person.
I mean, if you're blind and black is the only thing that you see, somebody tries to describe color to you.
Yes,
you're not going to get it. You're not going to never understand it.
You never understand.
That doesn't mean that the reality it doesn't exist.
I didn't say that. I said that once you have the whole totality of the whatever you're trying to explain or not explain, but to understand the truth of that subject or event, then you don't need definitions. That's what I said. Once you know the truth, there is no there is no need for definitions. You know.
Wait, say that again.
If you know the totality of something, then the only way you need to define it is for others. But others will not understand the definition of it because they never got there. Once they get there, there's no need for definitions. So definitions is a tool to understand the totality of the truth or something that is factual. Once you know that something is factual, there is no need for definitions. It's true.
Well, let me think about that one for a second. Once you know something is true, you don't need definitions?
Yes.
I disagree.
Okay.
Because if let's say you're wanting to be a scientist and let's say you like you asked me about color and light a minute ago.
Yes.
And let's say you wanted to be a biologist, for an example.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that we understand all we need to know about light. We understand the totality. Everybody understands it. So according to you, we don't need definitions anymore. Without those definitions, you can't be a biologist. If you want to use light to grow plants in a controlled environment, without the definitions, you lose the understanding of the individual proportions of the thing that we're talking about, in this case, light. You lose various understandings. You don't, like, if you wanted to be a biologist or you wanted to grow a certain kind of plant under a fluorescent light or a controlled light situation, you need to know that this plant requires a certain amount of red light, a certain amount of blue light, not too much of this and not too much of that. You still need those definitions so that you can move forward in science. Making more progress. You need to.
Yes, as a tool.
But you don't throw away your definitions just because you understand something.
I didn't say to throw it away. I said you don't need them.
Yeah, of course you do need them. Of course you need them. And you need them to teach other people, like children.
So let me ask you.
I mean, you're going to raise your children. What are you going to do if you don't need definitions? How are you going to raise your children? You're going to say, "Oh yeah, we already understand light. Don't worry about it."
I didn't say we understand light. I said if we get to understand the totality of light, then we don't need definitions. At the state that the humanity is, our senses does not allow us that. So you're making an example of an individual, and I'm saying is that the fact of the matter is, once we know light, the totality of the knowledge of light, then we don't need definition. Could we accomplish that at the state of the human evolution? No. So we still need definitions. I don't think you're understanding what I'm trying to say.
I think I do. I think what you may be talking about is basically God or someone that is omniscient.
No, I'm not talking
Once
about
you understand the totality, you understand all there is to could possibly know about something, then you don't need definitions.
No need definitions. So now,
I mean, in this case, I could only imagine that God would be the only person or entity that doesn't need definitions. He understands everything.
Well, I don't want to bring God into the point. As long as you get the point that I'm trying to make, is that the fact that we still don't know the totality of light, then we need definition as a tool.
I'm only trying to imagine a scenario where anybody, any human or anything or any imaginary spaghetti monster in the sky, if you don't want to talk about God, I don't care if you don't like the word God, spaghetti monster, anybody. The only way to get to a possible scenario where you don't need definitions is where you would be omniscient.
You will know a totality of that particular subject we're talking about. You might be ignorant, you still need definition of something else. But you might know the totality of light, for example.
Well, we might have to move on because I'm not sure if I mean, without the concept of omniscience, I still can't imagine a scenario.
Okay, let me put it this way. You go into Alaska, you need a map and directions. Once you get to Alaska, do you still need directions?
No, if you don't plan on going
anywhere. That's my point right there.
All right, let me stew on that one. Let's move forward. It's 9:30. Let's talk about free will, because Patch said something earlier about morality relating to free will. He said something about, and I'll have to scroll up if I want to find it. He said something about morality and free will. Let me see. I don't know. Scroll. Let me see if I can find what he said. It's way up here. I wanted to throw it out there earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. You were saying something. Let me try to find this. He said something was really interesting. Morality is a social construct that tends to sap free will to enforce what the majority thinks is right. So morality is a social construct that tends to sap or suck away or take away free will. You guys agree with that? I'm not sure if I agree with that. Morality takes away free will.
I don't agree with that.
Morality takes away free will. Morality as a social construct takes away free will.
Because people can go ahead and behave against the morals, ethics, whatever you want to call it. They're free to do that. It's just that there will be consequences. Well, and it will usually be things like locking you up for a while, that sort of thing.
Whether or not somebody chooses to go against the current accepted morality, the concept, the social construct of morality has a tendency to take away free will.
I agree with whoever said that in the chat section. I believe I agree with that.
The man who refused to die, we call him Patch.
Yeah, I agree with that. Morality has the tendency of, like you said, to restrict free will, because then again, it's democratic.
I wouldn't say that it takes away or saps free will, because I kind of agree with Amy, because
I say it takes away from free will. I didn't say it takes free will away.
Takes away from free will. Well, yes. I mean, the construct of morality is really just a general agreed upon set of rules to live by. What we all agree is right and wrong behavior. And then, of course, everybody still has free will to either go along or not.
Yep.
But not necessarily, because that's where laws come from. And once it's law, once it's illegal to do against the acceptance of the moral understanding of a particular society, then regardless of what you say or do and try to bring any explanation into accounts,
buddy, you're breaking up. You say again, buddy, you're breaking up.
Okay, what I said, it takes away from the individual free will. It takes away from it. Not necessarily takes all the free will, but it do sap the free will of the individual, because when the majority agree, the minority have to follow or go to prison or go to jail.
Yeah, or there's consequences one way or the other, whether it's legal consequences. Yes. There are consequences against the grain.
But I think what one thing we can take a look at here is the fact that there's tons of laws and people breaking them all over the place every day. So now, where is the infringement on the free will there? I'm not seeing it. Most people don't say, I'm not going to do that just because it's illegal. They'll say, I'm not going to do that because it's wrong. Oh, and yeah, it's also illegal. But there are people who say, I'm going to do that, and I don't care whether it's illegal or not.
Well, we haven't get there yet.
He came back and he clarified. He said, if you want to use free will to do something that goes against what the majority thinks is moral, but if you don't want to be ostracized by by enacting your free will, then you toe the line. So okay, I see. So basically,
now I disagree with that. I disagree with his last statement, but I agree with the first one.
I can see where he's going with that, but the thing is, you have free will to choose whether you're going to toe the line or whether you're not. That's free will.
He's basically said what you said, Laz. Let me read it again. He said, if you want to use free will to do something that goes against the majority, what the majority thinks is moral, but if you don't want to be ostracized by enacting your free will, then you toe the line.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. Yeah.
So he was saying what you had already said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once you get send bullies to arrest you, and the free will goes away because you don't want to be arrested, so they go against your free will, and according to them, they have the authority to do so. You know. So yes, it saps from the free will of the individual. Now that is wrong and right at the same time. We could argue that because an individual that committed a crime against another individual still have choice for free will, but it is in the best interest of the rest of the people to arrest that crazy guy and put him in jail if he committed it did injure somebody.
Reality Check said, morality reduces your free will to do immoral things, but is that a bad thing?
Yeah, like I said, it's both. It's a two-edged sword. So I begin talking here that I don't have absolutes. So, and that is probably an absolute that I don't have absolutes. Like I said, but what I see is change as an objective reality. So to me, the only thing that is objective is change. In that particular statement, then we have to say that then truth is not stationary, is evolving, and the more the individual evolve, is catching up to the truth. So our definitions today of free will tomorrow might not be.
Bye-bye, Sareba. Have a good night, sweetheart. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, Cerebra. Love you much.
So, are you familiar, Laz? Are you and Amy? Are you guys familiar? And Gandalf, are you guys familiar with the concept of determinism?
Well, I think I've got a vague idea of what that is. Basically, that no matter what, everything's already determined, and we just are dragged along and have no say, really.
Sam Harris does a really good job actually making a case for determinism, and in other words, the concept that we don't have free will. And I'll do my best to explain. I'm not nowhere near as eloquent as Sam Harris. However, I have a slight understanding. Determinism, the way he defines or describes it, is the idea that every decision that we make as individuals was predetermined, not by a god or a deity, but predetermined by our genetics, predetermined by our environment, our culture, our friends, our family, our history, our knowledge, our education, predetermined by everything that made us who we are at this moment. That every decision we make was already predetermined. Like, for instance, I didn't go to college. Maybe if I went to college, I wouldn't be sitting here. Maybe if I went to college, maybe I would be working in a lab somewhere. Maybe I would have a better job and live in a different place, and I would never have met you guys. You know what I mean? That this idea.
Well, I'm not sure if that could exist unless there was a creator that had some type of plan for all humankind from the very beginning.
Yes.
A creator doesn't even come into this. It doesn't even enter the picture. The idea that I mean, actually, maybe Gandalf, because I mean, if determinism is the main factor, then the idea that I didn't go to college wouldn't even have been my decision to begin with. You know what I mean? It was beyond my free will.
Right.
And maybe determinism, before I even had a chance to go to college, would have already set me on a path that would have led me away from going to college. You know what I mean?
Well, if you go along with the multiverse theory, there's infinite realities where you did go to college, or almost that.
But the idea that determinism eliminates free will completely.
See, but then there would be external factors, like what if, say you're going for a bike ride, and you would everything. So like we're going to keep in mind like the way you're looking at things. But what if a meteor strikes 20 feet in front of you? You're going to have to swerve, but that was just a chance occurrence.
But the fact that you were there at that moment was already determined before the meteor showed up.
But then the meteor would also have to have been determined. So that's why I think that would be...
No. Determinism doesn't have anything to do with natural things. Well, actually it does. But we're talking about human beings and free will. The meteor doesn't have free will. The meteor is part of our environment, and environment is part of determinism for humans, whether they have free will or not. And let me just ask a question real quick to Tidor. They're distorting our rhythm. I'm pretty sure that Sidethorn 2018 in the chat right now. Is that you, Tidor? I just want to make sure. I think that's one of his alt channels.
Actually, from what I can determine, the Sidethorn 2018 seems to be, at least so far, kind of anti-Sidethorn.
I'm pretty sure.
Just by that picture alone, it's definitely not Sidethorn.
I'm pretty sure that's Tidor.
Well, I know Tidor
looks like a mugshot of some kind.
Tidor was in here.
I know he's got a shitload of channels.
Yeah,
and
he does. Yeah, as far as I can tell, the Sidethorn 2018 is a good guy.
Yes, that's him. That's what I thought that was you, bruv.
Oh, okay.
About the determinism, it is an old argument, very old argument, and I think today is more necessary than ever to have the argument, because the religious people have their God, and the scientific people have their determinism, or what it used to be called the law of causality, cause and effect. Now, if you're not familiar with Oedipus' fate, Oedipus was predetermined to kill his father and mother, and marry his mother. So it is an old argument. Now, what bring today a real challenge to the determinism is Heisenberg with the principle or the uncertainty principle of the dualistic nature of particle and wave of an electron, for example. So if something can be at different places at the same time, or at different time in the same place, then automatically take away determinism. Einstein hated that. That's Mikio Kaku. If you ever heard Mikio Kaku talking about that, there is a short video out there that Mikio Kaku makes this point. And Einstein said that he had to draw that he was wrong, because he said, when he says that God don't play dice. Right. So there is a certainty of randomness inside the system of determinate cause and effect. There are laws, but there are laws that emerge in something else. So that emergence, or that uncertainty of the emergence, that is, you cannot calculate or quantify what will come from what we know today, then there is an uncertainty that something is not, the whole system is not determined.
Yep.
That's a very interesting point. In fact, the the duality, the uncertainty principle is actually what is making AI possible, because right now our computers run on the binary system of 0 and 1, but with the duality or the uncertainty principle, because a particle and a wave, or a positive and a negative, can exist at the same time. Mm-hmm. This is how artificial intelligence and the D-Wave computers are being constructed, because rather than have a 0 or a 1, it can be either or both at the same time.
Well, and maybe now you understand what I say, that I don't go by absolutes, and that I can see how not everything is not black and white, or it could be both.
Well, I'm not trying to convince you of a duality that everything is black and white. I'm with you on that. I don't agree with, that concept. That there's a myriad of color in between and any decision, and I use color metaphorically, of course.
Yes. The spectrum of light is one of those things that, to me, wow, it's amazing to me. The spectrum of light.
The concept of determinism, it's kind of hard to get your head around when you think about the little tiny decisions that we make. Like
it's a different word.
It's one thing for me to be sitting here talking to you, but it's another thing for me to flick my toe just now, or to take a sip of wine, or to light up another cigarette at this exact moment rather than 5 minutes from now. So the concept of free will and determinism are sort of coming to a head when you think about the little tiny insignificant things that we do in our lives. So I wonder how that plays in. What do you think of that?
Can and I want to speak to that. I was just sitting here thinking about, they're talking about every choice that everyone has creates a new universe, so that there's infinite universes. And I'm sitting there thinking just how small a change. I mean, are we going to say the particle jumped to this location and not that one? It chose that location, so that's one reality. But over here, that particle jumped to that. I mean, it just becomes mind-bogglingly absurd when you bring it down to that kind of a level.
Yes.
So I ponder these multiple universes.
Well, theoretically, those particles that are bouncing into each other at different rates and at different angles, at different speeds, at different densities, that basically is how the whole multiverse theory, if you can visualize it, that's basically that's the best way to explain it, that there are infinite realities, and it's just a random thing that we're appearing in and out at this certain frequency. So there's different infinities where nothing exists other than objects that don't even come into proper form. Like, so it could be like your arm appears, and maybe like a foot appears in Antarctica, and that's all that appears in that reality just because of the vibration that's occurring.
Let me use an example of something I did just now. I'm smoking a cigarette, and I took a puff, and rather than hail the entire puff, I blew half of it out. And I thought to myself while Gandalf was talking, I thought, does predeterminism determine whether or not I blew out half of that puff just then? And
that was a voluntary action. So yeah, they would try to say, well, the reason that you did that is because it's in your gene, or you were trying to prove something out, and you had no choice in the matter. But Amy brings the point that I was trying to make about choices. So if we have choices, then we have free will.
Well, see, the problem is that there are people who say that every time we have a choice, one of us goes this direction and the other one of us goes the other direction, and that determines what flows from there. But
that's the uncertainty principle. But then we're talking about free will, and then we have a choice.
Yes.
Either to, like I said before, either it could be yes or it could be no. Then there is free will. We could pick and choose out of those two.
Yeah, I agree that we have free will, that things are not predetermined, and even if one of us makes one choice and one of us one me makes one choice and one me makes another choice, the me that made the choices I made had free will.
Well, but determinism would say that you had no choice in the matter. You choose that because it was determined for you to choose that one.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I don't buy
it. And then it comes the objective and subjective principle that we were talking about before.
I think it's a mix of the two. Basically,
exactly.
There is like a slight preset course. Like you're born to your certain parents, but at that point, things start to veer off in different directions.
Yes.
And, you got in a car crash. Do you decide to walk it off, or do you decide to call the ambulance? So there are like slight deviations on a river, little streams that come off the river.
Randoms.
Yeah, basically.
Randoms. When I was making a live stream, Aaron in the chat section, he said that you cannot have both. And I said to Aaron, yes, you could. And that's the point that I was trying to make back then.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat, you guys. I faded out for a second.
We'll have to shoot you for that.
Well, don't make that choice because it's not going in the best benefit of the rest of us.
Oh well, all right,
touche.
all right.
So
Well,
I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna sack on your free wheel right there.
I didn't say what I was going to shoot him with. Now, did I?
Touche. You got me.
Maybe a spoonful of peanut butter or something.
I think this subject at this point we have to say that we don't know and move on.
Yeah, well, this is one of the most in-depth or like bizarre subjects I think, honestly, Roof, you've ever gotten into, man.
Yeah, man, I love the philosophical shit. It's stimulating and it's intellectually challenging. It's,
yes,
it's good for the brain.
Yeah. So we have to follow other people's directions, our own directions, subjective and objective directions, and do the best we can with what we have.
The whole thing is, I don't think everyone's going to agree on everything, you know? Even in this truth community, I come across people that I disagree with them on a lot of things, but then there's a lot of stuff I totally agree with them on. Like, for example, Jesse Spots, who's a flat earther, and he's a decent-sized flat earther. I think he's got like 10,000 subscribers. If it weren't for the flat earth, I would agree with like 90% of what Jesse Spot says.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
but you know what? So you know what? Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
I just said I think so too. I agree that
the problem I have with
take that out. And
yeah, but you know, Gandalf, consider this, because there are other really, really intelligent flat earthers out there. Like, for instance, Michael Tellinger. And the problem I have when somebody comes out as flat earth, if you can't make a determination as to what fucking shape the earth is, if your discernment skills are so poor that you can't figure out the shape of the earth, then how are your discernment skills on other subjects? So it taints everything that you say.
Well,
yes.
Well, in most people, probably there might be a few people that are with me on this, but it probably taints people's idea of me, because that I believe in Bigfoot, man. And I'll come like, so when it comes to flat earthers, like in different subjects, I have to like go, well, maybe they think I'm crazy because I'm all into Bigfoot and certain paranormal subjects.
Well, I would rather you believe in Bigfoot than flat Earth.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't have invited you to be co-host if you were flat Earth.
Yes. I will say, as far as Bigfoot is concerned, I give fair probability that there's something we don't know the full details on going on out there relative to that, and several other paranormal things too. But I can look at the multitude of data showing that the planet is round, like the sun angles from around the planet at the same time of day, pointing in wildly different directions when put on a flat map. But lo, they all point in the same direction out into space when you put them on a globe. Let's think about that. So there's a different sun for every location on the planet, right?
Well,
because it's flat, right?
Let's not do the flat thing, Amy.
All right.
Well,
all right.
then we go to back to our children, and when our children ask us, "What is it dark? What is night?" and you say, "Well, because the sun set," but the sun don't set. It's the earth that move.
Well,
but we call it sunset. We call it a sunset.
Yeah, we're speaking from our perspective. I get you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, on the subject of Bigfoot, I haven't seen one, but that for me is the same with aliens. I haven't seen one. So all I can say is what I know about Bigfoot and what I know about aliens are exactly the same. They're stories from other people. And as far as I'm concerned, I won't rule it out, but I don't give it much credence until I can see it and prove it for myself.
Well, I will say that I'm not sure whether I saw an ET, but I think I did. I was quite young, and I was taken to Montauk. I think I've told you this story. I was taken out to Camp Hero, and my dad sent me in with some guys, and I have little scattered vagueness once I went through those double doors, and I think maybe one of these things might be what I experienced while there, but I seem to have something of a really quick flash of something that wasn't human and was talking to me telepathically. But I can't say for sure. But I give
Well,
ET.
I never seen aliens, but I've seen non-humans.
Tell us.
Non-humans?
Yes.
Go for it.
Well, according to people's definition, aliens or extraterrestrial are entities that they're not from this earth, right?
Right.
Well, the entity that I talked to and talked to me back is from this earth, and it's not human. So would that be considered an alien?
And you were awake during this time?
Yes.
And you were sober?
Yes. I don't drink.
Well,
it was not one time. It was not one time. It was many times for a period of 6 years.
Well, when it comes to these things, a lot of different people who have gone into this deeper than I have, there's a lot of different ideas when it comes to this, that maybe these things that people see, like when it comes to aliens, for example, there's different theories that they're time travel, they're an evolved version of human from the future, and then then there's aliens that could say be coming from another solar system. But then there's different people when it comes to this kind of information that say that they're like demons and so on. But when it comes to stuff like, for example, like what you're describing, Laz, when it comes to we've been talking about like alternate realities, and what a lot of people theorize is that it's just basically a phase shifting entity that's coming from another place, and there's like a glitch and you're visualizing this thing that's not supposed to be in our world, but for temporarily they are. That's why when it comes to Bigfoot, a lot of people have claimed over the years that they've seen Bigfoot and it's disappeared right in front of them. Some people claim, and there's even videos of this, where people have been following Bigfoot tracks, and the Bigfoot tracks simply stop at one point in the snow, and they just vanish, like the thing disappeared into thin air. So it could be something along those lines.
Stories are great. I love the stories, but they're just stories.
I don't have to guess. People that never seen it have to guess, but I don't have to guess, so I know. So when people talk about it could be towards that line, or it could be this, it could be that, I don't have to guess. I don't have to believe it.
Well,
I know.
Well, it all comes down to when you experience something, you'll believe it. So me and you, Laz, it seems we both experienced.
What do you mean? When I experience something, I believe it. When I experience something, I know.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm the exact same way. Like I know as well, because I've heard what is known as the Ohio howl when it comes to Bigfoot. Like I heard it, and I know 100% that I heard it. And so when it comes to Bigfoot, I give a lot more credence to people that have their own Bigfoot encounters than I would say if I had never heard what I heard back in 2006.
So that recording that you put on your channel, Gandalf, that was just the someone else's recording, and it's similar to something you heard, or did you record that?
No. So that was like someone who put. Basically, what happened was, I'll give you guys a quick thing. I won't go into the super detail, but basically, we were all camping by a pond in 2006. It was maybe about 3 o'clock in the morning. And for some reason, I was drunk, but not plastered, right? So we were just all hanging out, and for some reason I thought it would be a fun idea to take a log and throw it into a pile of other logs. And the sound that came out was like this, it kind of like echoed. It's like the pond is like in a bit of a valley, so the sound echoed throughout the valley. And maybe about 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, there was like a loud scream, similar to the recording that you hear on that video that I put up. And so I'm like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? And we all looked at each other. There was maybe 3 of us left awake, and we all looked at each other and we were like, what the hell is this? And so for some reason, like, I was drunk, so what probably wasn't thinking this through. I took the log and threw it into the pile of logs again, and it made another echoing noise throughout the forest. And this time the thing replied back again, but it sounded, the best way to describe it is it sounded pissed. And we're talking about, it was maybe like 50, 70 meters from us, and it sounded like, or for Americans, I guess like 150, like 200 feet or so, maybe 300. And it sounded like it was pissed, like angry. So scarier than the noise that I put up on that video of another person who had recorded the same thing. So we all eventually, it was like almost dawn, and we finally went to bed. My buddy that was sleeping at the time wakes up in the morning, and he goes out to take a piss. And he's outside for maybe 15 seconds before he runs into the tent and curls up in a ball, and he's shaking, and he's just like and he's just shaking back and forth. He's just like, there's something fucking out there. There's something fucking out there. And we go out and there's nothing there. And what was really, so that's, we kind of forgot about it over a period of a couple years, or about 3, 4, 5 years. And I think it was maybe in around 2010 or 11. I was just thinking about it for some random reason, and I'm like, okay, I wonder if anyone else has ever heard anything strange like that. And I type in Bigfoot sounds or Bigfoot recordings. And the first, or it was like the first or second video that came up was the Ohio Howl. And I'm like, Ohio? That's right across Lake Erie from Ontario. So I'm like, that's relatively close. And I put on the recording, the one I put up to YouTube, and it was the exact same thing I heard that night. And I had like shivers after listening to this.
Wow. Cool story, man.
Yeah, very cool.
Now I want to hear Laz's story.
My story?
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. Going back to free will, or
hang on 1 second. Go ahead, Amy. What, you got something to pipe up with?
I just wanted to say that I've got to get going this evening. I apologize that I have to leave early, but
no, it's after 10. I got you.
There are things I have to do.
We love you.
Okay.
You can take off. We're
all
good.
Right. Love to everybody in the chat room. Thank you so much for watching our show here. Love you all. And I'm outie.
All right, later, Amy.
See you, Amy.
Good night, Amy. Well, it's the same argument of free will. If we can, at least we know that matter could be either a particle or a wave, then entities could be either particle or wave. So if a wave entity that is surviving in the wave pattern of frequency choose to be materialize itself, if it had the ability to do so, it could probably do so. So that's also about free choice or free will, and it's also my explain the story that I kind of mentioned to you. So we have the question that was raised before, is the earth flat or round? My question to you guys is the Earth particle or wave?
Like, what's its physical makeup, right?
Yeah, you said this happened over a period of 6 years. You're convinced it's non-human. So tell me, how do you know it's non-human? And describe this entity,
Well,
person, thing you were talking to.
first, it did not look like we know as a human. In other words, it didn't have the physical appearance of the human. It has a physical appearance of what people describe as a reptile. It was 7-8 feet tall, very strong, or at least the physical body. At the beginning, you could not talk to me verbally. It has to be, and I didn't have the ability to telepathically talk to him. So he needed a translator. So not only did I meet that entity, I met a translator that will translate for him to me in Spanish.
Wow, man, that's fast. What year did this take place?
This was about 2006. That's how it started.
That's kind of sketchy. That's when I heard the Bigfoot, man.
Oh yeah.
That's creepy, man.
Wait, it started in 2006?
Yes.
And it stopped around 2012?
December 21st, 2012. That was the last conversation I had.
December 21st, 2012.
Yes.
Are you shitting me?
No.
You know what day that was, right?
He said goodbye at 12 o'clock at night.
No way.
Yeah.
You're fucking with me.
No, man. And I would not. I'm not that kind of man.
No, I don't think
you know what day that was, right?
Has to do with alignment of the planets.
The alignment of the galaxy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's when the sun sets directly, the Earth, right in between the Earth and the center of our Milky Way galaxy, which is the day that the Mayan calendar resets itself after 25,000 it's a 25,920 year cycle. It was that day.
Yeah.
It was that day.
Yeah, he left this system that day.
So okay, so tell me, what was your first just describe your first interaction.
The first interaction, I was doing a spiritual ceremony with a medium, a group that frequently we sit down and have a medium. And a medium said that he have a message for me in particular. And he says that there was an entity, high enlightened entity, that wanted to talk to me and wanted to ask permission if it was okay for me to interact with this entity. So I say yes. And once I say yes, later on, he appeared to me and we could not talk. I freaked out. And he just put his hand in where the heart should be. Then he bows and smile a little bit because he freaked me out because his mouth was full of sharp teeth. And then make like a whoosh and like compacted, start changing colors, and then it started getting smaller and turn into a ball and disappeared pretty much in front of my eyes. That was the first experience. And then the next time he came with a guy that looks like a.
Now when you say he came, how did he show? Did he just
the same way that he disappeared? In other words, I saw a ball forming and a cracking sound like a Tesla sparking.
Really?
and that ball opens up and start growing until I see the figure inside, and then it start changing, fading from non-visual to a physical, that I could touch him and he can touch me.
Wow. All I can do is shake my head, man. I mean, it's an amazing story, but I don't want to say I don't believe you. I do believe. I have no reason not to believe you, but I also have a hard time believing you. You know what I mean? I'm sure you understand.
Well, then you probably understand a little better when I come from. When I said that I don't believe anything, either I know or I don't, or I trust my intuition and my feelings as an objective reality, because I seen things that the other people would consider subjective, and to me, it's real, it's objective. So, can I prove it to you? No. Do I want to? No. Then again, I spent many years before that, prior to that, looking forward to that meeting and not researching in YouTube, not researching in Google, but foot on the ground, going around meeting almost every other weekend or every weekend, doing ceremonies after ceremonies, doing all kind of experiments and trying things out.
What kind of ceremonies are you got? What can you describe the nature of the ritual ceremonies you guys were doing? Was it a meditative ceremony?
There were different kinds. Mainly it was sitting down. Some people would meditate, some people would sing, some people will call out, some people would pray, people that are Christians or whatever, or religious. There were all kind of people.
So, I mean, so you weren't the only person to see this then?
And in that particular, no, well, in the first interaction, yes, I was the only one.
Wait, the first interaction I thought you said you were with people doing
No, that it didn't appear there. He asked me permission to meet with me sometime in the future.
During the first ceremony?
Yes. And I say yes. So then it appears in another place.
So during the first time, you were having a ceremony with some people.
Yeah.
Right? I guess a ritual of meditation ceremony of some kind.
Yeah.
And what? You heard a voice in your head, or did you see what?
No, the medium asked me, or the medium said that she has a message for me, that there was an entity that wanted to have permission from me, not permission, but it was okay to have a one-to-one interaction with me. And I say yes.
So one of the people you were with was the medium.
Yes.
And you're having this ritual, and this person said to you, I got a message for you.
Yes.
Okay, so you agreed, and then later on.
Yeah. Was it 2006? I was traveling in Tallahassee in a hotel, and he appeared there.
He appeared in your hotel? That was your first physical?
Yeah, hotel room, yeah.
And have you ever interacted with this entity with other people present?
One time, a girlfriend that I had, she saw something and started freaking out, and then stopped seeing it. She started screaming and shit. And I knew that it's still there because I could see it, but I guess it was too much for her. So he somehow prevented her from completely seeing the transformation from face into material.
And was that the only time that you interacted with this thing with someone else present?
That I can recall, yeah, I think yes. I think I would remember if there was somebody else.
Okay, that's wow, Laz. I'm gonna want to get more detail from you some other time. I mean, it's already almost 10:30, and I could talk to you for. I want to hear all the details about this story. Good shit. Good shit. Tidor just reminded me of something, and I'm going to go ahead and do it now before I forget. He reminded me to reintroduce my dream location experiment. Now, I used to throw this out there several times during previous shows a while back. I might even try the remote viewing experiment, since now that my audience is virtually double what it was back then. But I've been trying to get a group of people together to have dream experiments where we intentionally set out to try to have either the same dream or possibly meet each other at a specific location in a dream. So, like, for instance, if me and you agree to do this, or me and anybody else can participate, but we all have to know about it. We all have to know who's involved. And I might maybe start a group, or we could just interact with each other in the comment section, but we all have to know where everybody is aware that everyone is involved. And what we'll do is, on a regular basis, or maybe once a week on a specific night of the week, that when you lay down to go to sleep, you remind yourself of the experiment. And what you do is you try to focus as you're drifting off to sleep. Remember this experiment. Remember the people involved. Remember that you're supposed to try. And when you make it to your dream state, of course, you mostly are going to lose control of your thoughts and your intentions, unless you can lucid dream like some people can. I can on occasion, but sometimes I can't. And the hardest part is remembering to do the experiment. But the thing is, I want to have an experiment where people are intentionally trying to have the same dream or trying to meet each other in a dream. And I think it would help if we settled on a particular location, like, for instance, the observatory at the top of the Empire State Building, or, you know, somewhere that we can all just readily agree on. Yeah, that's a good place. I'll meet you there in a dream, or let's all meet, you know, at this one specific location. And then if you have a dream and somebody like Blue Blood shows up in your dream, then you can come back to the video or the comment section or whatever and let everybody know, dude, I just had a dream. I was there and I saw you. And then Blue Blood might respond, fucking hey, I was there too. Or he might go, shit, I wasn't there. You just had your own dream. You know, it's just an experiment we can try. But I've been trying to get people involved to do something like that. So, any takers?
Only about the wave particle question and the free will. If you can control your dreams, then definitely there is free will.
Grand Canyon? I didn't say Grand Canyon, did I? Because I wasn't looking at the chat. I was looking off into space while I was thinking about it. But you know what? I almost said Grand Canyon. Find the Smithsonian hidden caverns. No, Tidor, that might work, but I'm
you should meet in the sun.
Meet on the sun?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the key, the gate anyway.
That's probably a good place. So a couple of people in the chat are saying that they can lucid dream, and they can. Liberty said they can control a dream. I can sometimes. You know, the problem I have is when I lucid dream, I don't get any fucking rest. I wake up tired. I feel like I didn't get any sleep.
You probably did.
Do you guys, for those of you in the chat that are saying that you can lucid dream, do you guys experience that too? Okay, Allison is willing to participate. So I'll tell you what, let's I guess let's just try this. Let's try it once a week. Let's do it let's do it on Fridays, since we do the show and it's a good time for everybody to be reminded. So tonight, those of you that would like to participate, leave me a comment under the video after the broadcast is up, and let me know that, let us all know, let's all agree that we all, literally after the broadcast is over, just stop by the channel. As soon as the broadcast is on my channel, even though it won't fully upload until, I think it takes 30 minutes or an hour for the full upload, but it'll be there, at least the half of it will be there. Just stop by and leave a quick comment saying, I'm in the dream thing. I'm in the dream experiment. I'm in. I want to try, or whatever. We can try. So we all have to know who's involved. And we don't have to know each other personally. We don't have to know your real names, but the avatar will be good enough. Because in a dream, you know, everything is weird that way, right? But you have an idea of who is there. For some reason, you just kind of get a sense of who it is. So yeah, let's try it tonight. Let's meet on the sun. And if you have a dream and you have this weird sense that you're on the sun, or you have a dream and somebody who's participating is in your dream, then come back and make sure to come back in the channel on that video and leave a comment and let us all know, and we can talk about it. That would be awesome.
Are we going to be naked, or are we going to use clothes?
You have free will, brother. Okay. I'm going to be wearing a black tie and nothing else.
I'll have a sombrero. All right.
Well, I'm looking forward to smoking your pipe. Kind of. Oh shit! That sound bad. I mean, shit. The pipe on your avatar.
No, I got it, Laz. I got it.
Damn, that sounds bad.
Tidor's already naked. Okay, we're having a naked party on the sun. Everybody, bring the copper tone.
Okay, so where is the sun?
Well, it's on the other side of the earth right now.
That'd be tough. We got no direction how to get there.
You can go anywhere in a dream, bro.
Says who?
Says me.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's puffing the avatars in the chat. Laz, thanks for being here, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Gandalf, we love you, and I'm glad you're with us.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. And sorry I had to drop out for about an hour and a half earlier on, man.
No problem, man. Hey, I'm not going to be here next Friday. Do you have an interest in doing a live stream with Amy next week?
Yeah, we probably could pull something off.
All right. All right. Well, you guys pick your own topic, and you guys work it out. If you want to have a guest, that's entirely up to you. It's on you. I won't even be here. But, I mean, I'll be around until Thursday. I'm going to leave Thursday, and then I'll be back probably Sunday or Monday.
All right, man. And you got to film some videos, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take plenty of video. I'm going to get some interviews with Seth Andrews and Aaron Raw, some pretty well-known people in certain atheist circles. So I'm going to get some cool interviews and get some cool video and do a little camping. I'm going to drive my RV up there and hang out for a couple of days.
All right, guys. Good night. And Aaron, good luck with that, man.
Love you, Laz. Be good, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right,
Gandalf,
nice
take care,
guys.
Bye.
Everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. I've been doing my best to keep an eye on what's happening in the chat. I appreciate all the feedback, big time. So again, we're going to do the dream experiment tonight. When you lay down and go to sleep tonight, try to remember. Just try to remember. That's all you can really do. And let us know what happens. And we'll try it again next week. Johnny, Adelaide, everybody who's got a wrench and everybody who doesn't, thank you guys for being here. Bert Trim made an appearance. And my good buddy from Texas made an appearance. M.E. Jet was here. World Peas, Big P99, Blue Blood, Greatest Potential. We love you guys. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to close this out, you guys. Be good. And we will see you maybe next Friday. Maybe Gandalf and Amy will do something. But I will see you all in 2 weeks. So peace out, everybody. We're done.